Some feelings wait for the right time.
Hello everyone, welcome to What If Tomioka Giyuu Fell in Love with Nezuko Kamado movie. Before we start, please go support Belle is Chase29 for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistake in character's gender, but of course Giyuu is a male. An invisible red thread connects those who are destined to meet, regardless of time, place, or circumstance. The thread may stretch, contract, and tangle, but it will never break. Prologue. Was this another cruel twist of fate? We had already suffered and cried in silence for her, who died from remembering that past that made her suffer so much and cry when she remembered it, but she learned to cry in silence and change her tears for a sincere smile. We shouldn't pity the dead, but rather the living. The dead are at peace now. They no longer feel the pain they once felt. They are reunited with loved ones who were taken from them. She died in pain, but that pain turned to happiness when she was reunited with her family, and so it would continue. Perhaps I'll meet her again later when my time comes. That's what I thought until I saw her in front of me singing the lullaby she taught me. Nezuko wedding gift. Who would have thought that death would be so peaceful and joyful? Before I died, I suffered so much that I thought I would continue to feel those pains that always made me cry, but I didn't want people to see it, so I did it in silence. When I woke up, I thought I would have the scars from when he ate me piece by piece, just like Makomo tearing off her limbs, but she and I had something different. That demon from the final selection killed her because she was Irakodaki's disciple and didn't care about the lives of the children she encountered. I, on the other hand, didn't die because I was someone's excuse. He needed my demonic abilities, and to get them, he had to devour me. What an easy way to do it, but that didn't matter anymore. In life, I lived happy moments, although there were more sad and bitter ones. I am happy, but to have this happiness, I had to leave them. To get something, you must always leave something behind or give something in return. To be with my family, I had to leave behind important people I loved and longed to see again. Nezuko, someone called and they started shaking me, pulling me out of my thoughts. I'm sorry, Canny, I apologized, making her smile. It doesn't matter, but we're in the middle of a game, he said and moved his chess piece. You're beating me. If you keep daydreaming, I'll keep doing it, he scolded me. Now pay attention because this game is more important than the others. Bias, I already moved. That, and it's a checkmate without cheating, he smiled again, this time hiding something. I had been by her side for 2 years. I got to know her and the secrets she told me herself. Are you playing again? Sabito asked. Canny and I nodded as we put away the chess pieces. Is something wrong? I asked, noticing the looks on Canny and Sabito's faces. Your only dream since you've been here is to go back to your brother, my sister, and your friends, but you don't just miss them, you also miss a certain blue-eyed boy you were going to marry and live happily ever after with if that demon hadn't devoured you and you hadn't lost your focus. Is it that noticeable? Yes, they answered in unison. I let out a huff before slumping down on the armchair behind me and looking up at the ceiling of the Kachu family's house. I admit I'm happy and I don't want to leave because I have my parents and younger siblings back. But I still miss everyone I left behind, and I wish I could see them again, even if it's just one last time, and tell them all the things I couldn't say. And what if there was a way to do it? Canny said mysteriously, not just for the last time, but... Canny, I called, arms crossed, what are you hiding? You don't have to thank us, but first we want you to tell us your dream, Sabito said this time with a smile on his lips. I wish for a new opportunity to be with the people I love, I whispered melancholically, unlike Canny and Sabito who smiled happily at my response. Since we were dead, we couldn't give you a wedding present, he said, speaking in the plural, but now we can. Sabito. Happy wedding gift, they said in unison before everything went black and I closed my eyes. It's called wanting. It has been 2 years since the death of my dear younger sister. After seeing her body disappear, we left the place. All the pillars were there, some more injured than others. Seinmi, Muakiro, Iguro, and Mitsuri said that Nezuko helped them by making the demons feel pain when they were about to kill them. All the Annihilators know his name and what he did for us. Giyuu hasn't fallen in love and I know he never will. Nezuko will always be in his heart until he dies. Tanjiro is now 20 years old and has changed a lot physically thanks to years of training and fighting. He has never stopped training, not to be better than others, but because he wants to help, and for that he must be strong. He used to do it for Nezuko, now he does it for himself and others. I couldn't get the image of Tanjiro out of my head. When I saw him again, I played with his hair and styled it the same way. He still hasn't understood why, and I prefer it that way. I've started to love him and my feelings haven't changed. I don't love him because he's Nezuko's brother, but for himself. Tanjiro is no longer that boy I met 5 years ago, but a grown man, yet his kind, gentle attitude and smile have not changed. Last year, Tanjiro was promoted and is now a fire pillar just like Zenitsu and Inosuke. The second is a lightning pillar and the last is a beast pillar. Shinobu, wake up, someone gently asked, touching my cheek. I opened my eyes a little to see who it was. Tanjiro was kneeling beside me. Good morning, I greeted and sat down. What's up? I asked. It's been a long time since you've been to Finca Mariposa. Yes, sorry about that. It's okay, why did you call me? We have a mission in the south, they're semi-attacking and taking children. Okay, let me get dressed, I asked. He nodded and left, giving me privacy. A few minutes later, I came out of the room in my uniform. Let's go, I said when I was ready. Tanjiro smiled before we started walking together to the railway tracks. As soon as we sat down, I fell asleep on his shoulder, but when I woke up, I was lying with my head in his lap, which made me blush. I tried to take a step, but Tanjiro stopped me. What's going on? I asked, puzzled, and looked around, but there was nothing there. I smell the half-demon, he's in that alley, he pointed. I pursed my lips and looked where he pointed. I didn't see anyone, but if Tanjiro said there was a half-demon, I was going to believe him. Besides, Tanjiro has a very keen sense of smell. What do we do, Tanjiro? I called, waving my hand in front of his face. He was staring into space. I smell some children. Do you think it has the ability to hide in the dark? Maybe. Good, I said and walked purposefully into the alley. The city lights illuminated most of it, but there was one side that wasn't. I drew my katana upon seeing the movement of a silhouette. Tanjiro was right. I approached the wall and touched it with my katana, then it came out. They're so rude, let them go, I ordered. The half-demon glared at me angrily and was about to jump on me, but Tanjiro stepped in front of me and cut off his arms when he tried to touch me. Thank you, Tanjiro, I smiled at him. He nodded and picked up the children. Go and take them somewhere safe, I'll be fine. I know, he said confidently and left. I sighed and turned my gaze back to the demon. He was healing, but slowly. I've never seen a pair of hunters. We're not a couple, not yet, since he still has that redhead who's become a pillar and I detest her. Mitsuri says I'm jealous, and it was true. That redhead, no matter where we were, was always kissing him, and when she was around, she didn't just do that, she hugged him too. And once she stuck her tongue out at me. At that moment, I drew my katana and wanted to go to her, but Giyuu and Mitsuri grabbed my hand and pulled me away. If I ever saw her again, no matter if Tanjiro was there, I'd kill her. It's called love. Say your last words. What? Is it true that there was an annihilator who was also a demon? That's none of your business, I said, taking my leave and slashed his throat. I sheathed my katana and left the alley in search of Tanjiro. When I found him, an older man was hugging him tightly and clapping his hands. Tanjiro looked at me pleading for help, which made me laugh. Thank you, he said again and hugged him tighter. Tanjiro's face was turning blue from lack of air. I ran to Tanjiro and touched the man's shoulder. Hello, my name is Shinobu, could you release my friend? I asked. The man looked at me, already Tanjiro. Thank you for saving my daughter, he said one last time and walked away holding the hand of the young woman who had been bitten, but the bite wasn't deep and the girl had a rag on her shoulder. When the man let go of him, Tanjiro staggered, but I hugged him gently, helping him to stand and patted him softly on the back. Tanjiro's face changed from blue to red. He was so tender and so cute at the same time, everything I always wanted in him. Are you okay? Yes, I just need back all the air that man took from my lungs, he replied, and I couldn't hold it in. I laughed again. Nezuko, Kachu Shinobu called the master, along with his sisters on either side. Is something wrong? Yes, I need you to go north to a small village below a mountain called Light Rock. Monsters attack people during the day, but there are more deaths at night. Monsters are more feared than demons. Although they have no abilities, they still level up the more people they devour. Yes, Nezuko, Sanemi, and Aguro explained it to us. I remember the meeting. Kamado was the first person to defeat the top of his class, and he continued until he was helped by the Wind Pillar and Snake. We all remember it. My sister initially had to go and defeat them alone while we trained. You must go to the village now before there are more deaths. Received, I whispered and gave a small bow before leaving. Nezuko will always be the strongest. I finally arrived. The journey was long and tiring, although all I wanted was to go to sleep and not get up. Today was December 28th. If she were alive, she would have turned 20, but she couldn't keep thinking about that. She had a mission. She needed to be focused. I sighed and started walking through the town, but I didn't see any monsters or anything unusual, just people wandering aimlessly. Maybe he'll find something in the mountains. They always hide there and come down to the village at night to kill people. When I reached the top of the mountain, I saw a small cap. It looked welcoming. Who lives here? I smiled when I saw a small garden of different flowers. Even in winter, they could bloom. The person living in that cabin must be a woman or a small family. I caressed a flower before venturing into the frozen forest. Everything seemed normal. Knock knock, Mountain Bunny, why are your ears so long? That song. I started running, following the voice until I stopped when I saw a person on their knees picking some herbs. Ni Nezuko. The girl stopped singing and looked up. When our eyes met, she smiled gently at me. My legs started to tremble when I saw the girl's face. She Hello, my name is Anaisha, greeted a dark-haired girl with violet eyes. Do you need help? Nezuko. I'm sorry, I don't know anyone by that name. Are you okay, girl? She called out in alarm and ran to me as I closed my eyes and fell backward. What? I was dreaming again. I must know. I would never stop remembering her. That way I could keep her alive. She loves me and always trusted me. Nezuko knew that the three of us were going to beat him just like all the pillars. She trusted us. Why should I forget her? I opened my eyes a little and sat up. I wasn't at the butterfly farm but inside a house. It was small but homey. I touched my forehead where I had a wet cloth. Who had put it there? Are you all right? Someone asked. I groaned in pain. I don't know why and turned around. This young woman with violet eyes was taking food out of a pot that was heating on the fire. Nezuko, you've got the wrong person. My name is Anaisha, but I'm glad you're awake. She smiled and gave me a pat on the back. I'll help you. What are you doing here? I live here. Don't you remember me? I'm sorry, but I don't remember my life before I came to this town. A woman said I have amnesia, but that I'll remember. You say you know me. I'm your best friend, but we became sisters. I thought I didn't have any siblings. Tanjiro is your younger brother, although the others. Where are they? Your younger brothers are dead, but your older brother Tanjiro is alive and at the Lotus Estate, where you used to live too. I don't remember. Really nothings. Nope, he replied. Are you hungry? Yes, I was about to answer, but someone knocked on the door, interrupting me. Wait a moment, she asked and stood up. When she opened the door, a woman gave the worst smile I've ever seen. My child, why didn't you visit me? Well, I'm sorry, Who is that woman? I ask her and she looks at me annoyed. Why didn't you tell me you had visitors? No, Anaisha is 20, she can choose for herself. And who are you? I asked. Anaisha, she doesn't look trustworthy, she has a sword, I told her. Anaisha looked at me and bit her lip. She doesn't seem like a bad person. She says she knows me and I have a brother. She smiled excitedly. The woman's face darkened and she glared at me angrily. Don't give my girl any ideas. Her parents and siblings are dead and Anaisha only has me and that's how it will stay. Aunt Lake. Aunt, go away and don't you ever fill my niece's head with fantasies again, she ordered me, and I gripped the hilt of my katana. Aunt. And you go eat. I told you not to talk to strangers. I'll take care of it, she said. I made a fist and left before she could touch me. Once we were outside, the woman closed the door. Listen to me, you're not going to ruin this. That girl is mine. I found her so she belongs to me. Don't damage something perfect. I'll see you around and you'll know who I am. Is living a lie perfect? I'm not afraid of you. Nezuko is my sister and you're a stranger, I said and started walking. I needed Tanjiro and Giyuu. He'll be happy, he'll help me. No, please wait, I won't, I must. The half-demon pleaded, blood on his clothes and mouth. Giyuu slashed his throat before the demon could finish. What are you doing here, Kachu? I have something very important to tell you and you'll be happy to hear it. I have to go on another mission, I murmured, sheathing my katana. But it's important, tell me tomorrow. You always act like this when December 28th rolls around, I reproached, crossing my arms. Giyuu lowered his head and clenched his hand. What do you want? I asked without looking at myself. Just say it. It's something super important. You're not going to believe me, but... Tell me later, she said, avoiding me again and starting to walk away. Giyuu, am I okay? Turn your back on me and get your damn water ass here. I ordered angrily. Giyuu turned around and approached with tired steps. Apparently he only pays attention if people speak to him rudely. What do you want, Kachu? I already told you I have another mission. Fine, I won't tell you about Nezuko. Have fun killing monsters, I said angrily, turning my back on him. Giyuu grabbed my hand and pulled me closer. What did you want to tell me? Nezuko is alive. I saw her a few hours ago, but she doesn't remember me so. Stop getting your hopes up, Nezuko is dead, he said, touching his necklace. Every time someone mentioned her name or spoke of her, he would touch the chain where he wore the ring he'd given her as a marriage proposal, and now he wore it as I said. I swear. You know it yourself. Why are you saying the opposite now? Aren't you happy that someone is saying without lying that she has? A scene in fantasies. I'm fed up. If you don't believe me, see for yourself. Go to a village in the north, down from the mountain called Light Rock. I'll go tomorrow, I muttered, making fists. Be careful with an old woman. She claims to be your aunt. Don't feel bad if you want to hit her. How I wish she were a demon so I could make her suffer and kill her slowly. Who does she think she is, warning me? I'm not afraid of her. Shinobu. Her name Leiko suits her perfectly. She's arrogant, Shinobu called after me, annoyed for the second time. If you want to use a water ability, you have every right, but don't even think about killing her. I'll do that, I warned him and started walking. Poor sister of mine, although I can't blame her, she seems to have amnesia. He wasn't going to let her get away now, not if he could do something. She is our friend. Nezuko is alive, I saw her with my own eyes. I remember the first time I saw her, I thought that idiot was just spouting nonsense. No demon could be good, and if he didn't kill anyone now, he would sooner or later. He stabbed her several times, but when the moment came and he opened the door of the box he was in, I thought I would see a demon like the one in my family. But all I saw was a girl with a bamboo in her mouth that prevented her from biting anyone. The only demonic thing about her were her pink eyes, and although Shinazugawa encouraged her to bite him so everyone could see he was just another demon, she didn't bite him. And even though her idiot brother called her Kamado, she looked away. You could see the trail of saliva on her lips. I thought she didn't bite him because she heard her brother, but it wasn't him she bit. Nezuko remembered her family and the words that man had said to her, a man who had been not only Tomioka's disciple but also a disciple of the Kamado brothers. She didn't deserve to die the way she did. Although she tried to defend herself, the pain wouldn't let her. The second girl I cared about died, even though she helped me not only in battle, making me feel pain when the demon tried to cut my throat. Look at the town where she said she saw her. I don't know why I'm here with Sanemi and Muikaru. Maybe we also want to believe that that little demon who managed to enter our lives and make us feel good is alive. We started walking aimlessly until we heard a bang coming from a house. None of us paid any attention to it until we heard another bang, but this time someone came out of the door and fell to the ground. The person was a girl no more than 20 years old wearing a torn lilac kimono. Her hair was loose but we could still see her face. That girl touched her cheek, now red from a slap. A trickle of blood was coming from her mouth. "You're good for nothing," said a man leaving the house. "You're just another one of many." "I'm sorry." "Shut up," he ordered, causing the young woman to tremble and back away. "Please excuse me, it wasn't my intention." "Tell me, Anaisha, what are you good for?" The man asked the dark-haired girl with violet eyes and a red cheek from the blow he had given her. When he told her that, I remembered what the demon told us 2 years ago about how she died. He said those same words, that girl lying on the ground, bruised and apologizing. "That was Nezuko. Why do you have a pretty face if you're good for nothing?" he asked, causing Anaisha's eyes to fill with tears. "There's nothing you can get for nothing. Understand that once and for all." "Well, that..." I gripped my katana tightly and approached that wretch. "Hey, you bastard," I whispered, drawing his attention. "Who is?" But he didn't finish his question when I punched him, knocking him to the ground, and my katana was at his neck, a few drops of blood trickling down. "I don't care who you are, but you respect Nezuko," I said. Sanemi approached, as did Muikaru, and they kicked me. "Shut your damn mouth, bitch," Sanemi said. "Only I can mistreat my friend. Can I kill him?" Muikaru asked, glaring angrily at the man in front of us, his katana raised. "I won't stop you," I replied, glaring at the man. I raised my sword, intending to cut his throat, but a groan of pain made me turn away. I put the katana in the guillotine and ran to Nezuko, who was lying on the ground, starting to tremble from the snow falling on her body. "Nezuko," I called, picking her up and sitting her on my lap. "Answer me," I pleaded, seeing her trembling and blood on her lip. "You saved me. You're safe now, no one will ever hurt you again." "Aguro-kun," he whispered before losing consciousness. It reminded me. "Do you think she's all right?" Muikaru asked, worried, seeing her asleep in my arms. "Of course she is, but she needs to rest." "Wow, Tomioka-san, you finally showed up," I said, wrapping Nezuko snugly in my hayori. "After Sanemi and Muikaru slowly and agonizingly killed that bastard, they came to me and saw her. No one had to speak or ask. We already knew what we had to do." I took off my hayori and covered her up. I knew it wouldn't make her feel better, but she wasn't trembling as much anymore. Muikaru took off his hayori before her and we started walking away from that village. Sanemi picked her up when we had to run to get to the train station we had boarded. As soon as we boarded the train, it started moving. The journey was slower than at the beginning, but we still felt happy because Nezuko was in our arms. After a long wait, we finally arrived back. We didn't need to go to a doctor. Nezuko didn't seem seriously injured, she was just cold and bruised. "Oh, come on, it's not that late," Muikaru said, annoyed, when we arrived at the place and started knocking on the door. "Wake up, you lazy bums." Sanemi shouted, this time knocking on the door himself. A few minutes later, someone opened it. It wasn't one of the assistants, but... "What's wrong?" Kachu asked. Muikaru was about to answer, but Shinobu interrupted him with a scream and ran towards me. Even though Nezuko was covered up to her head, the insect pillar still recognized her. "What happened to my sister? When did they go to the village?" "A few hours ago," Muikaru replied. "It's a long story." "Is that a punch?" "Yes," we all said. "Come in," he said, making room for us to enter. A few seconds later, the lights, which had been off, came back on and the assistants emerged from the rooms, as did the sick exterminators. "Return to your rooms," Kachu ordered. The children jumped slightly in surprise and fear at her tone and expression, but they all went in anyway except for the helpers. "Is that..." "Yes, it's Nezuko," I replied, annoyed. "Now get your room ready." "Yes, sir," they said and started running. What children? Reunion. A week has passed since her 20th birthday. I received news from Kachu claiming she was alive, but I didn't believe her, though I had a small glimmer of hope and went, but there was no one named Anaisha in that village. Shinobu used to annoy me, but now I hated her for playing with my feelings. We had all seen the alley where she died, there was blood all over her and maybe the demon. Why wasn't I more serious with her the last time we were together? She wanted to go on that mission and I raised several objections, but in the end I accepted it on the condition that I went with her. Nezuko had a feeling that something bad would happen and I felt the same way when I saw her leave through that door. I should have followed her and I know I could have saved her even if I died or we both survived and a month later we would be husband and wife. The only things I have of hers are the ring and her pink ribbon. Why does my happiness always slip through my fingers? She was unique. I left the food establishment and started walking, getting as far away as possible from that town and the place where I saw her running with a smile, chased by Kachu and then by me. Why did I always come back to this place even though I said I wouldn't? Happy memories, along with sad ones, always remained in my head. I couldn't stand it anymore. I grunted as I stood before the Lotus estate. It had been like this for 2 years. I no longer controlled my body, it controlled me. When I tried to turn around, I fell to the floor because of someone. "Oh, Tomioka-san, I knew you'd come one of these days," Shinobu's voice said cheerfully. "Get up and let me go." "Not until you come in with me, I have something to show you. Did you jump on top of me because you wanted to?" I asked, trying to look at her, but all I saw was Nezuko's pink Hayori. She kept using it. "If you didn't do it, you were going to leave," she said. My eyes widened as she joined my hands and tied a rope around them. "There," she said, and stood up, as did I, and started walking back to the place I had promised not to go into, but she was dragging me along. "You're very intuitive, Kachu," said Seinmi's voice. I wasn't surprised to hear him. The ranch had become like his second home. "How is she?" Kachu asked. Her tone of voice had changed to one of concern. "She's awake now." Jin and the other one, I can't remember her name, gave her food, but she doesn't seem to recognize them, so Aguro is with her. He's the first person she remembers. "What's that snake boy doing?" "Great, let's go, Tomioka-san," he said, and dragged me back to the rooms. Was she taking me to her room? I was going to reply, but I remained silent when I saw how far he had taken me. I started writhing and tried to break the ropes when I saw that room I had entered so many times. I was about to scream, but the door opened, revealing the assistants. Behind them, I managed to see Aguro sitting next to a bed where a girl was sitting. "You're still too thin, what did they feed you?" Aguro asked. When the assistants left, I was able to see the girl who was sitting down. She was a young woman with dark hair, pale skin, and bright lilac eyes. "That woman ordered me to eat very little. If I tried to eat more, she would take my plate away," she murmured sadly. Aguro shook his head and touched the girl's head. "Ni Nezuko, my sweet Nezuko." I squeezed my eyes and hands shut, trying to control myself, took a deep breath and opened my eyes again, focusing on the only two figures in the room. Aguro, sensing my presence, raised his head and looked at me, raising one eyebrow and crossing his arms, but his face changed when the young woman tugged slightly on the pillar's Hayori. "Aguro, who is that man?" he asked, looking at me curiously. "It's the water pillar. Now go back and eat, we pillars have a chat." "When I return, I expect you've eaten everything," she warned, getting up. When she was in front of me, she gave me a shove and closed the door. "She is. We'll talk about it somewhere else," he whispered, gesturing for me to follow him. I grimaced, but I followed him anyway to the room where Nezuko held meetings with her half-moons. Since she died, no one had entered, but when Aguro passed through the door, Shinobu, Seinmi, and Muikairu were sitting waiting for us. "Can someone explain what's going on?" I asked, annoyed. "Why does that girl look like Nezuko?" Ara Tomioka-san," Kachu smiled. "Don't you know who your girlfriend, almost wife, is?" she asked, arms crossed. "Now do you believe me?" "Nezuko is dead. We all saw the alley where she died and was devoured. You had her bloodied Ahori, you heard that demon moon, and when it was going to kill me using its ability, it hurt her, just like it hurt the demons that almost killed them." "What you said is true," Muikairu said, "but she is Nezuko. We don't know how she returned, although we suspect she didn't do it on her own, but rather the others she encountered in her death." "It's the safest thing to do," Seinmi agreed. "At first, even though I held her in my arms, I didn't think she was my friend for the same reason you mentioned, but when I saw her arms and legs, there were scars from when the demon devoured her. When I removed his Hayori and kimono, I saw a scar on his stomach identical to the one Muikairu had before, and on his back from when he hit it against the ground and wall," Shinobu continued. "And if you get closer and look at his neck, he has a scar," Aguro added. I can't lie and say I didn't feel anger when I saw all his scars, because every time I saw one, I remembered the words of the crescent moon when she explained to us how he died. Those scars on her arms, legs, waist, and neck mean that he devoured her body piece by piece that night," Muikairu whispered, his hands clenched into fists, just like Shinobu's, Aguro's, and Seinmi's. "If she were really Nezuko, she would have recognized me and wouldn't have had to ask Obanai who I was," I said, annoyed. I didn't want to believe them, even though something inside me said it was her. I had already suffered enough without going through it again. When I met Nezuko on my mission, she didn't know who she was either and said her name was Anaisha, Shinobu continued. Just so you know, Kachu, I went to that village you told me about 3 days ago and asked around like an idiot for Anaisha. And nobody said they knew her, I accused. Shinobu smiled and looked at the 3 pillars who were communicating with each other through glances. Kachu didn't lie to you. You didn't find her because we went to that same town 4 days ago at night, Giyuu said. As we were walking through the village, we heard some banging. We didn't pay any attention until we saw a girl come out of the house after being pushed. We couldn't recognize her because she was looking the other way. Giyuu was the one who recognized her, Sanemi said. That. Yes, a man was saying nasty things to him, which annoyed us, but Giyuu was the first to approach and hit him, but we killed him, Muikaru replied. She recognized me first, then Sanemi, Giyuu, and Kachu only. We believe she has amnesia, but that her memories will gradually return, Shinobu spoke again, standing up. I know you don't think it's possible, but that girl you just saw is the one who calmed you that first time in winter. She made you smile, cared for you, and never cared about the rumors. That dark-haired girl with violet eyes is the one you were going to marry. Nezuko. Finally, I thought we'd be talking for hours. You're so stubborn, Tomioka, Sanemi muttered wearily, but a stunned smile still played on his lips. Nezuko. I want to see her. You can go, but don't tell her everything at once. She's remembering the people and moments herself, Kachu requested. And what if she can't do it? I asked impatiently. He didn't want to talk anymore, he just wanted to run to her and hug her even though he was a stranger at that moment. We've asked ourselves that question too, until we remembered what Irakodaki did when Nezuko was a demon and slept for 2 years. Do you know what hypnosis is? Muikairo asked me. None of us have ever done it and none of us have even seen it, but Giyuu once tried it on someone and succeeded, so hypnosis will be our plan B. Okay, great, can I go now? I asked, my hands in fists. Yes, Kachu smiled. I rolled my eyes before leaving and going back to her room. When I stood in front of her door, my whole body started to tremble. What could I say to her if she didn't remember me? How could I stop the urge to hug and kiss her again? I don't think we should be alone together in her room. I wouldn't be able to control my impulses. Ever since Nezuko died, she's been in my mind and there's never a moment I don't remember her, but now somehow she's back and she's behind that door. I shouldn't have come, I shouldn't have. I jumped slightly in surprise when the door opened. In case you haven't noticed, you've been standing at my door for a long 20 minutes, she said with a small smile on her lips. That smile. What's your name, Water Pillar? Giyuu Tomioka, he stuttered, making her laugh. Doesn't your name mean hero or braves? He asked, frowning and pursing his lips. The first thing. It's a pleasure to meet you, Giyuu Tomioka. My name is Nezuko Kamado, I think, she murmured, scratching the back of her neck, making me smile. The pleasure is all mine. Do you want to come in? It starts getting very cold these nights. Don't get sick even if the water turns to ice and they tell you it's freezing to the bone. As I would like. Then come in, I promise I won't bite. I don't have the teeth for that, she said, smiling and showing her white teeth, making me laugh. You haven't changed at all, my sweet Nezuko. History. Giyuu, will you tell me another story today too? I asked, stroking my hair. Tell me the first one again, it's one of my favorites, even though you always forget the ending. What? After that night when we were talking, even though she didn't remember me, she kept bringing up topics and telling anecdotes from the past without realizing it, which makes me happy because she's starting to remember little by little. The conversation I had the next day with Giyuu, Muikaru, and Sanemi motivated me to keep going. Nezuko said something that depressed me, but they cheered me up, even though I know they hate me and will always get along badly with me. Memory. What's wrong, Tomioka? Shouldn't you be with Nezuko? The snake boy asked. Nezuko begins to remember everyone, and I understand that for her at this moment I am just a complete stranger, but she has the memory of a man. Let me guess, were you kissing her? Sanemi asked, eating ohagi. That he hurt his brother and stabbed him in the heart. Yeah, that's a memory no one wants. I don't know what to do. Are you going to let her go that easily? Giyuu asked. I knew you were an idiot, but I didn't think you were so weak. Have you already forgotten the many times my friend approached me but you walked away? Muikairo asked, do you think Nezuko didn't want to give up? Even though you acted indifferent, she always found a way to make you stay and talk. Nezuko didn't give up, why are you? He asked again, annoyed. Why did you only show your feelings to her? Sanemi asked, why did you hit me that time? I forgot, I lied. Don't play dumb, Tomioka. You hit me because I said Nezuko's name and you liked her, but you refused to understand until the boss asked. Now get up and go to your fiancé. I don't know if I can do it. Hey, idiot, you already won her over once, you can do it again. You were together for years, you must know her, Giyuu said. Don't just stand there, go now, Muikairo said, roughly pushing me out of the kitchen. Good luck, he smiled before slamming the door in my face. End of memory. After that I took it more seriously and remembered how she managed to make me fall in love years ago, but I would do something more that she liked and asked me for before, but I never did it because I wasn't good enough. Every day I would tell her stories about us, the times we spent together in missions, but she still couldn't understand. Long ago, there lived a girl with long black hair and beautiful bright pink eyes. She had a happy but also a difficult past, for she suffered what a girl her age shouldn't have to endure, but one day she met a boy older than her. Why did people hate him? He interrupted, stopping his caress of my hair. He was misunderstood and didn't show his feelings because he had also suffered losses, I explained, taking his hand a little tightly and closing my eyes. Continuing the story, when he first saw her, he was surprised because she was different, but it wasn't at that moment that he fell in love with her, as they were separated for 2 years. When was it? The moment she made him feel loved, what began as friendship blossomed into love. They cared deeply for each other and went through thick and thin. Many people gave her excuses to stay away from him, believing she was a bad person who would hurt him, and it turned out that she was right, but she left again for 2 years. But did they end up together? She asked anxiously. The boy in the story seems like a good person, and if he fell in love, he must really care about her. I opened my eyes a little and saw his violet ones. I want to know the ending. There isn't one yet. What do you mean by there isn't one? She left for 2 years, so she'll write the ending. What decision do you think she'll make? If I were her, I would go back to him because he's the only man I love, and even though we went through bad times, we also had good ones. And if he asked me for a chance, I would say yes. I smiled when I heard her and stroked her cheek. She often responded that way without realizing it, and I liked it because she was slowly remembering, but it was a little difficult for her. Nezuko Giyuu, my head hurts so much, he groaned, his hands on his forehead. Let's go to your room, I said, reluctantly getting up because I was so comfortable on her lap. I took her hand and helped her up. Nezuko straightened her white haori with lilac trim on the skirt and sleeves adorned with snowflakes and lotus flowers. The waistband was also lilac, a gift from Shinobu. Giyuu. Sleep, I'll wake you up for dinner, I smiled and kissed her forehead. Nezuko nodded and lay down. I eagerly awaited her to remember me. Nezuko POV. I couldn't sleep even with my sister's medicine. Blurry memories kept coming back and wouldn't go away, giving me a headache. Shinobu tells me those are the memories I forgot when I came back, but even though I'm starting to remember, it's difficult. Perhaps I should. Annalisa, I've finally found you. I let out a scream of surprise. The person with that voice covered my mouth and threw me onto the bed. Don't scream, I've only come to save you from these people, said a hooded man. That snake boy and those two are criminals who lured you here with absurd lies, and that blue-eyed boy. They're not bad people, Hakero, I scolded him. Wait, how do I know your names? What? I can't stand you when you act like that, she said and hit me on the back of the head. The last thing I heard was Shinobu's voice and someone's hurried footsteps. What was happening? Don Juan and stolen kisses. My sister wears Nezuko. She hasn't been able to run, her legs are still weak because they haven't fully healed, and then there's that blow to the wall. It couldn't have been her. His scream scared me. As soon as we heard Muakiro, we ran to the room. Giyuu had to go on a mission. Shinobu, Shizu called, running towards us. What's wrong? I asked without looking at her, my gaze still fixed on the wall. I should run and find her. She couldn't have gone far. I had already made a decision. Tanjiro is here and he's looking for you, she said, drawing my attention. Had Tanjiro returned from his mission? Impossible. He sent me a letter 3 days ago saying he was going in search of a group of demigods and monsters who escaped with his friends. What was he doing here? I fixed my hair and walked to the gate where Tanjiro was lying down with his shirt half open, revealing his 3 scars, but he also had some scratches on his chest and neck. A hickey. In these 2 years, Tanjiro changed. Although he was still gentle, he was no longer naive and innocent, nor was he a child but a 20-year-old. What always makes me blush is that he started flirting ever since his girlfriend, whose name I can't remember and don't want to, dumped him, or perhaps he dumped her. Nobody knows yet. If a girl approaches him, asks his name or something else, and since he no longer has a girlfriend and it must be admitted that he has become more attractive over the years, he answers them with a flirty smile, but he has started flirting with me more. He's like a Don Juan, but unlike one, he doesn't date girls, he just talks to them. He's never kissed them or tried anything, although a high-level hunter said he cornered her and kissed her. That rumor reached the ears of everyone in the group of hunters. Even the master and Yuzui knew about it, and he's no longer a pillar. At the meeting that followed, when Tanjiro arrived, he was just finishing buttoning his shirt collar and tossing his rain-soaked hair, but he still greeted everyone with his characteristic smile. Good evening, master comrades, how are you? Before anyone could speak, Mitsuri asked about the rumor and Tanjiro just smiled. That was enough to know the truth. He was becoming a Don Juan's. I've liked him for 3 years, but he was with his girlfriend who wasn't very nice. I only liked him. Tanjiro, your shirt's open and it's the middle of winter, Muikaru said, blushing. This made the burgundy-haired boy smile, blushing even more. Even as snowflakes slowly covered his red hair, Tanjiro shook his head, brushing the snow away. Hello, butterfly, I greeted, winking at him and making me blush too. Thank you for your concern, Muikaru, but I'm not cold after the battles I had before coming here and running. For your mission, I asked, a little heated. No, let me tell you, but this isn't a good place, he said, putting his arm around my shoulder. You get more beautiful every day, he whispered in my ear and kissed my cheek. I looked like a tomato. No one had ever been able to make me blush so much. And what do you have to tell us? I asked, trying not to look into his eyes or at his mouth, since I didn't want to follow my impulses to jump on top of him, kiss him until his lips had my name on them, and caress every part of his body. After our conversation a week ago about Nezuko, I wanted to go to the village to see her, but my mission prevented me. When Inosuke found the place where the demons we were looking for were hiding, I went to the village. To meet Nezuko, I asked, turning my back on him, but Tanjiro touched my shoulder and made me look at him. No, I asked about this supposed Aunt Leiko, but everyone gave me the same answer. They don't know her. What do you mean nobody knows her? I asked, annoyed. She's the most unpleasant woman I've ever met. Of course they must know her. Everyone I asked said no until one girl said yes, but she said I had to give her something in return and let me into her house. Anything in return? Should I let him into the house? A trade. Tanjiro, I called slowly. Who gave you that hickey? I asked, making his smile disappear. It's not what you think. So who gave you those scratches on your chest and that hickey? Did she ask you to? I started, annoyed. With each word my voice grew louder, but Tanjiro pushed me to the floor. You've really become a... I continued, but Tanjiro silenced me with a kiss. Sometimes you talk too much, Kachu, he whispered, stealing another kiss and making me blush. What should I do at this moment? 2. You like me? I know it. That was one of the reasons I left Chiaki. And this hickey was given to me by that girl who invited me home to try and kill me since she was a demon. When we fought, she bit me, and as you know, I'm half demon because of Muzan in the battle. They thought you were dead. Well, it seems I'm hard to kill, he whispered, kissing my cheek, but his kiss trailed down to my neck, making me tremble. What are you doing? It's what I've wanted for a long time, but I held back the impulse, and your scent makes me feel the same impulses, he whispered and kissed me again. Damn sense of smell. We should be talking about Nezuko. Someone's kidnapped her, and I whispered between my lips. You said we should be. Yes, what I have to say is important because Nezuko might be in danger, but now I want to kiss you. Can I continue? I asked, our lips brushing against each other. I'm sorry, Nezuko, don't die. I raised my hands to his neck and pulled him closer to me to steal a kiss this time, making him smile, and he sat with me on his lap. Her body was so warm, it seemed to warm me up little by little. Tanjiro was so cute, not just physically. Few boys ask because they're driven by impulse, but Tanjiro, you like me, I know it. That was one of the reasons I left Chiaki. Poor girl, I understand her hateful looks towards me at every meeting that I didn't care about at all, but why am I thinking about her right now? Tell me, Shinobu, what do you want me to do now? He asked while caressing my cheek. Basame. Kyoko Kibutsuji. What do you mean he's not here? Sanemi and Aguro said, annoyed. After that moment with Tanjiro, Shizu called me again, saying that the wind and snake pillars had come to see Nezuko. When we went outside, we were frightened by the pillars' faces. Muikaru had told them everything. They did love her, although Aguro still liked Mitsuri. Nezuko was the second girl in person he loved. He said it himself that night when they brought her here, and he was wrapping her up so she would stop feeling cold. She still has weakness in her body. Nezuko couldn't have run or done this, he pointed out. Someone had broken through the wall next to the window. Who could have done this? Obanai murmured, kneeling down. This blood is Nezuko's. Whoever took it must have hurt her, or Nezuko tried to defend herself. Looks like someone had some fun. The white-haired man smiled, shaking Tanjiro's head to show 2 hickeys on his neck, the first from the demon and the other from me. Maybe I shouldn't have done it. That doesn't matter. I thought you were on a mission, Aguro said without looking at him. Don't you want to hear what I discovered about the supposed aunt? He asked, arms crossed. I also think I know the name of the person who took him, or rather, I'm absolutely certain. What do you know? To understand this, you must know the beginning. Muzan was once an ordinary person like anyone else. He had a terminal illness, but a doctor saved him by turning him into a demon. However, in a fit of rage, he killed the doctor before he could reveal the location of the blue spider lilies. So he wasn't born a demon. Aguro asked, confused. Tanjiro shook his head. Muzan had a younger sister named Kyoko. To keep him from being alone, she too was transformed into a demon. After that, he thought they would be together for years as siblings, but it wasn't so as he grew jealous of her superior abilities. These included immunity to the effects of wisteria flowers, perfect hypnosis, and certain psychic abilities, not to mention her ability to create demons. Well, he was certainly jealous, Sanemi murmured. Muzan tried to kill her but Kyoko escaped, and from that moment on she hates him and harbors resentment. She only kills men and older brothers, she has never killed a woman. Who told you that? I asked, astonished, making him smile, but he quickly erased his smile and turned his gaze back to the pillars. Last night while I was sleeping, I had a very vivid dream. When I opened my eyes, your sister and Sabito were standing in front of me. They both seemed worried and nervous. Kani was the first to speak, saying that Nezuko might be in danger. She told the story of the demon, and when they tried to jog her memory, they couldn't. Why? I asked. Tanjiro sighed and began to explain, leaving us speechless. You mean that demon knows everything about us? Muikaru asked Tanjiro. We have to accept that Kyoko has been good to Nezuko, and I don't care if she's been nice to Nezuko or anyone else. I interrupted. I'm going to find my sister, period. She wasn't going to let that demon hurt Nezuko, and seeing Leiko, she wouldn't hesitate to kill her now that she was a demon. Shinobu. The pillars called as I left the room. Don't even think about going alone, butterfly girl, Sanemi warned me. We'll go with you, said Tanjiro, Muikaru, and Aguro. Fine, but from this moment on I'm telling you that demon won't make things easy for us. We'll be ready, Muikaru assured. Nezuko POV. He couldn't let go of me even if he wanted to. After Thyago hit me, causing me to faint like an idiot, he also punched the wall, attracting everyone's attention at the ranch. He put me on his back and started running as fast and far as possible in case anyone tried to follow him. I remember his laughter when he said that no one had followed him to try to save me. Thanks to that blow, all my memories returned, but even so I wasn't afraid or scared. She was tired of being weak. If she had been strong, she wouldn't have died at the hands of that prejudiced demon. I still feel the sting on my cheek from the slap she gave me when she said the words, "Big brother." The few people who were next to us, one laughed at me and another took pity on me. If I had said what I thought, he would have beaten me to death. They couldn't come. Not only had she gone mad, but with each passing year her fury increased. She also killed men without mercy, remembering the brother for whom she had become a cursed demon. That's what she said after she slapped me. Look how far you've fallen, Anaisha, and it's all because of following those people, she said with feigned sadness. My name isn't Anaisha and they're my friends, I murmured, making him smile. Okay, you're all secured, she crooned and closed the handcuffs. Wow, didn't that hurt? He asked, surprised. You know what I realized? That you must cease to exist. You're very capricious. And have you ever seen me with a crown, you bastard? I asked angrily. The only thing you are is a personality of that demon. You're not human, you're nobody, just a personality. Is that the mouth you used to kiss your boyfriend? He asked, amused, though a threatening fire flickered in his eyes. Which of her personalities are you? Can a celebrity do this? He asked before grabbing my chin tightly and stealing a kiss. Disgusting. Damn it, she started yelling at me when I bit her lip hard, drawing blood. I thought you wanted to experience what a kiss felt like, I said innocently. Come closer, I want to show you something else. Keep going like this, soon they'll all be dead. Your friend whom you cherish so much and see as a sister, those friends who used to hate you, and that brother you love so much, they'll all die. You. Soon you'll have nothing and Ryoko won't kill them, don't worry, they'll do it themselves. You're not a bad person. They're here, Kyoko, just like you said. I know everything, although I would have liked them to be intelligent, but all mortals are the same. They only act on impulse, feelings, and strength, rarely using their heads. That's why they always fall. It's true. Bring them to me, I'll finish. What will we do with the demon? To be honest, I was planning to keep her, but after this, I just want to see her dead. I'll make them suffer again, and this time I'll let them watch her die before they die too. Kyoko, why don't we let them live and just kill Anaisha? It would be the right thing to do, they haven't done anything to us. You're absolutely right, they'll decide what to do themselves, but if they die, I won't be to blame. Teacher POV. Why do Kamado like to live in the mountains? Did they find it so difficult to live with people, or was it hereditary? After we arrived at the village, they were already waiting for us, so Tanjiro stayed to fight alongside Kachu. The three of us climbed the mountain, but there was no trace of Nezuko. There's nothing here, Sanemi said as he looked into a room. Find something. Muikaru shouted, alerting us. What thing? A puppy. He showed it to us. The little ball of fur writhed in Takatu's hands, waggling its tail and barking. Isn't it cute? Muikaru, Sanemi called, annoyed. We're looking for someone, leave the dog alone. But it's beautiful. That's exactly what you say about cats. He reminded her, starting to get angry. I shook my head disapprovingly and left the cabin, leaving them to argue. Mitsuri recently had a conversation with me. I can't hold it in for another minute. I love Karanji and want him to be my partner, but I don't know how to tell him my feelings without sweating and saying nonsensical things. I hope Nezuko will give me advice. She already helped me once by giving me that flower. Now I need another piece of advice or something else to make her fall in love with me. Guarantee. Whose voice was that? I'd never heard it before, guarantee. I know it's you, Kyoko, stop hiding like a coward. Me a coward? he asked, appearing in front of me with a smile on his lips that reflected nothing good. Where is she? I asked. Tell me now. I've killed plenty of demon women. I don't care about one more. Without playing first. Leave him alone, Kibitsuji. What you need is therapy, but it can't be sibling therapy since I was one of the people who killed him. I must thank you for that, she smiled again before disappearing and losing consciousness. Maldita Kibitsuji. I slowly opened my eyes and sat up from where I was lying. My body felt as if it had been ground and beaten several times. That girl was already on my blacklist. I started trembling when I recognized where I was. This couldn't be real. I stepped back in fear at the lifeless, blood-stained bodies in front of me. It was them again, the women who wanted to offer me to that demon just to continue their wealth, but even so, those women and girls were my family. For the first time in so many years, I felt sorry for them. It's your fault that 50 women were killed. It's all your fault, Iguro Obiane. You are what you always despised, a demon. My cousin shouted at me with rage and a look of contempt. I was just trying to save myself. Anyone else would have done the same, I whispered, never taking my eyes off the woman who gave me life and my younger sisters. Then you had to stay. I didn't want to die, I whispered. My cousin grunted and came closer to me. You are. He shouted again and raised his hand. I closed my eyes waiting for the kiss, but all I felt was something warm surrounding me and gently caressing my hair. It's okay, you're not to blame for what happened. You're not a bad person, someone whispered gently. Nezuko, I asked, confused. She nodded and stroked my cheeks. When she touched my scar, she smiled. Without realizing it, I was crying. "No!" someone shouted from behind us. I tried to turn away, but Nezuko refused and hugged me again. Now everything is all right, he whispered. Forget that painful past that always haunts you. Wake up, Iguro-kun, this is just a dream, a sad memory. No, someone shouted again and tried to touch us but couldn't. Wake up, Iguro Obanai, you can do it. But I whispered as he walked away from me. Now run and don't look back, go, he ordered. I got up from the ground and started running in a straight line with my eyes closed. Wake up, you can do it, it's just like she said, a dream, I can do it. I stopped running and opened my eyes to find myself in a place that looked like a cliff. This is the end, this must be the way out. If I jump, nothing will happen to me and I'll wake up from this silly game of Kyokos. Take a breath before pushing off. As I plummeted, I remembered the last conversation I had with her before she died. Flashback. Every hunter has a story, a reason for becoming one, knowing they could die at the hands of a demon any day. Each story is sadder than the last. What's your story, Iguro Obanai? I'll tell you, but on one condition, Kamado. Which? Tell me your story and the story of the solar breath. I'll start with the first thing. In the Sengoku era, there was a pillar named Tsukiguni Yorichi. He was the first to use breathing breath, but we aren't related to him. Muakairo, on the other hand, is his descendant. If you're not related, why doesn't Muakairo know those breathing techniques, but you do? Yorichi, after suffering the loss of his pregnant wife and his brother becoming a demon, escaped and was taken in by our great-great-grandfather. The earrings Tanjiro wears belonged to Yorichi, as he gave them to our great-great-grandfather, along with the dance and breathing techniques that have been passed down in our family for generations. Who was the last member of your family to use them? Our father. At the beginning of every year, he would perform a dance for the fire god, because since we worked with fire, we would ask and pray to maintain our health and life. It didn't turn out very well. Yes, he didn't. Dad made Tanjiro and me promise that no matter what happened, we would pass on the dance, the earrings, and the breathing techniques to the next generation. How did you become a demon? Muzan came to our home one night. I was the first to wake up and find him there, followed by my mother and my 4 younger siblings. Father died from an incurable disease. That night, I tried to protect my siblings, but he killed them without mercy. I thought he would kill me too, but he didn't. I'll explain it to you another time. Now tell me your story. My family was rich, enjoying luxuries and privileges, but it was all a fraud and a lie for many years. For as long as I can remember, I lived in a cell. Although my mother, sisters, and other women treated me very well, they were even affectionate, always visiting me, giving me food and more. They didn't like you. How did you understand it? People don't always like you when they treat you well. Sometimes it's just a lie to hide something. Shinobu is an example. Even though she always smiles, she isn't happy, and demons don't like her either. She only smiles because her sister liked her smile. So you hate me? I asked. You said it yourself. People don't always like you when they treat you well. What? I don't hate you, Aguro-san. I have no reason to hate you or feel that way about you. Even though I treated you badly and wanted to cut your throat that time. I can't blame you for the hatred you feel towards demons and for being worried about Mitsuri. You had your reasons, and unfortunately for me, I'm the kind of demon you hate, but I'll keep saying it. I don't hate you, Aguro-san. You're a strange demon, I admitted, making her laugh. What are you doing? I asked, startled when she came closer and hugged me. I didn't trust displays of affection. But Aguro-kun, if you want, I can be your sister. I promise I won't hurt you and I'll protect you even if I die. Findel flashback. I opened my eyes startled and looked around. I had finally woken up and escaped that nightmare. Thank you, Nezuko. Argument, compliments, and anger. MUISA Charo UPOV. Who did that demon think she was, making me come back? Only I could choose when to return, not that woman in a black kimono who leaves everything on display and has that haughty attitude. I hated her from the first moment I saw her, also because of her resemblance to her brother. Flashback. I'm keeping the puppy, period, I declared and left Nezuko's cabin, which I found quite pretty. Maybe I'll move in. It's rude to spy on people. Didn't your parents teach you that? I asked, staring at the tree. You found me for being so young. You seem intelligent. Should I thank you for the compliment? I asked, petting my puppy. Maybe it belonged to Nezuko for being in her cabin, or maybe it was just a stray that got lost. One of the two. You're the same age as her. Wow, that's clever. You're the smartest demon I've ever met, and you're showing off so much of your body for everyone to see. That kimono looks amazing on you. Is that a compliment? No, it's just a lie, but I had to give it back if that's what we're here for. Are you? Let's do this. Give us back our friend, and I promise I'll give you a quick and painless death. Pillar's word. I raised my hand. No. Women, always so complicated. I wouldn't want to be one, or sorry if I was one for a short time, and the truth is I was very pretty. Many said I was beautiful and adorable. They even kissed me and touched my chest. I smiled and tossed my hair like a diva. Oops, sorry, did I bother you? I don't like you, kid. Hey, I'm not a child. I exclaimed, offended. For your information, I'm 20 years old while you're an old woman who's lived for centuries. Are you? Hey, can you answer a question for me? No, do you dye your hair so your gray hairs don't show? What do you do to keep your body young? Does killing men help you, or? I asked, ignoring her words. Shut you, P. She yelled, red-faced with fury. Come on, Kyoko, don't get so worked up. They were just 3 simple, pious questions. Are all the women in the Kibutsuji family as unbearable as you? I asked the demon, who was shooting daggers from her eyes and then bounded towards me with demonic speed. Yuichiro, go home. I don't want you in the fight, I told my puppy. He barked and left. So obedient. I swear I'll kill you. I yelled, letting out a snort as I drew my katana. Mist breathing, 7th form, mist, I said, managing to surround her in mist and at the same time giving myself the ability to move quickly. Where is it? I whispered, trying to find myself in all the fog. You were looking for me, I whispered in her ear. You brought her here. I smiled and punched her in the back, knocking her to the ground. Do you think it's all a game? I've heard that getting angry causes warts. Don't ruin such a pretty face, I scolded her. Mist breathing, 2nd form, layers of mist. I called out another ability and began unleashing multiple slashes, cutting everything around me. One of those things was Kyoko, but not her head, rather her limbs. Oops, sorry, I didn't keep my word. What? Blood demon ability, sleep potion, agony, I whispered, dropping my katana and covering my nose and mouth, but the scent still seeped into my body. It started sweet but then shifted, becoming stronger, cutting off my breath and making my body tremble. What have you done to me? I whispered. Kyoko smiled and stood up once she had reassembled her body parts. Welcome to your nightmare, kid. End of flashback. I didn't want to say it because my parents taught me not to call people by that name. But that demon was a bitch who needed a doctor urgently. That demon has already made me relive happy and sad moments by recounting the death of my mom, then my dad, and my brother. He was already tired of being in their games. I frowned as I saw a speck of smoke in the air that grew larger until it resembled a cloud. What could that speck of smoke have caused? I started running towards the place. I had nothing good to do in this fictional mini-world. When I arrived at the place, I saw a kind of bonfire lit, but there was no food or anything like that, only a living person, or so I thought. Who was that person? Had they been burned alive? Nig-san. No, he had died a long time ago at the hands of a demon, but why does seeing this person remind me of him? Was that a bamboo stick that girl had in her mouth? Did they put it there to stop her from screaming while she was being burned? Oh no. Ren'izi Yukayo. I shouted in alarm, but someone covered my mouth when I tried to scream a second time. No, that couldn't be her. The girl lying on the ground in front of me, almost burned, couldn't be my friend. She wasn't dead, she was alive, I think. Let me go. I yelled, still staring at Nezuko above the burning fire. This isn't real, it's just a... I bit her hand hard, making her scream and back away from me. I grabbed my katana and cut her in half, leaving her on the ground. I ran to Nezuko and picked her up, even though I was getting burned too. This fire seemed real. Nezuko, answer me, tell me this isn't real. I'm freaking scared because of that big-breasted old bitch. Well done. Are you okay? Did he really hurt you? She plays with your mind. I already noticed. Where are you? I asked, shaking his slightly burned face. What did you say? You're speaking very quietly. Say it again. Escape or he'll kill you. But I began to protest. Nezuko shook her head and raised her hand to my forehead. I groaned and looked at the hand that wretch had bitten. I quickly moved my head and went to the room where I was being held prisoner. How can she talk to them? He had already done it twice, saving them when it shouldn't have been that way. They should have died. The plan was simple: remind them of memories that have caused them suffering, then make them believe in an unhappy future so they kill themselves as the only way out. She was asleep too. Why do you have to love them so much? I asked, gripping her chin tightly, but she didn't open her eyes or move. Those pillars so worried about you. Love doesn't exist. If she slept, she would still be helping. I couldn't let it happen. They had to die. Very well, Anisha. You were able to help 2 of your friends, but one remains and you know who it is. I will kill all those pillars. I spoke and stormed out of the room in a fury. What I didn't know was that there was still one pillar left who was closer to the sister of the sun breath pillar. Giyuu Tomioka. I love you. Nezuko, what are you doing awake? After Muikaru faced Kyoko, he went after Sanemi. I was with him at the time. She thought it would be easy to kill us, but it wasn't, and in the end the demon told us where she had Nezuko. I can't sleep, she replied, almost in a low voice. I know what you needs. I think it would be best if I went back to, she murmured, but fell silent when I hugged her. Better? I asked and began to stroke her hair, making her smile. Yes, your caresses always manage to calm me down. You too. Can you sleep with me? He asked, still not looking at me. I don't mean it in a bad way, he said, quickly, making me laugh. I shook my head before taking his hand and walking back to his room. Come here, I whispered and hugged her again. Having her by my side again makes me happy, but at the same time nervous when she moved and turned her back on me. The problem wasn't that she turned around, but when her buttocks brushed against my I covered my face and tried to turn away, but something prevented me. Perhaps it was myself who couldn't stop. Nezuko was like an addiction that I could hardly get out of my mind. I needed to touch her, to brush against her skin, but I also knew that if I did, I wouldn't be able to stop, and I didn't want to scare her or for her to think that I was a pervert who only wanted hex. I was grateful that Nezuko wasn't looking at me. Before speaking to her, I had seen her appear in the afternoon. Her wet kimono clinging to her body revealed her figure, causing a tingling in my pelvis that at that moment turned into contractions. How could she make me feel this way without even doing anything? Giyuu, she asked sleepily, what's wrong? I must, damn it, don't do that. I begged, covering my face. What the hell? She wanted to ask, but remained silent when I touched her waist and pulled her close before kissing her, the first kiss in 2 years, and she replied. It had been a long time since I'd felt her caress or kiss, and that automatically made me feel premature at that moment. I can't hold back, I'm sorry, I want you too much, I whispered before kissing her again. I don't think I can stop myself, I whispered in her ear, making her tremble. Don't you want to? I asked. Answer me, I promise I'll accept your decision without complaint. If you want me to stop, I will, I said firmly, making her blush. I shook my head and kissed her forehead, making her tense up. Giyuu. Oh yeah. I'm ashamed of my body and I don't want to. What are you talking about? I asked, confused. Nezuko, I don't care if you have scars or anything else. To me, you're beautiful because I know how you are. How many times do I have to say it? Can you stay with me until you ask me to leave? I smiled and kissed her again, this time gently. Nezuko responded and shyly raised her arms, but I removed her hands, uncorking her. I smiled at her blush as I opened her garment, revealing part of her body. Why are you so nervous? I asked as I ran one of my hands down her back. Nezuko covered her mouth, stifling a squeal as I gently stroked her leg before pulling her body a little closer to me and kissing her again. Nothing could be heard in the room except our ragged breathing. Nezuko, if you keep this up I won't answer, I warned, making her blush even more than before. Could you try not to blush every time I speak and touch you? You're driving me crazy. It's your fault, she tried to reply, becoming annoyed. And you love that, I whispered in her ear, making her tremble as she felt my lips on her neck. I bit my lip when I felt her skin prickle. Nezuko wanted to say something but chose to remain silent and look at me, though she still bit her lip to stifle her gasps as I moved my caresses up to her hips. My breathing slowed as I continued to move my hand up her body to the tops of her breasts, which I longed to kiss and explore. Giyuu, I let out a cry as I lowered my head and put one breast in my mouth while caressing and pinching the other. She didn't want him to come yet, not until he was inside her, but she still wanted to keep touching her body. Do you want to wake everyone up? It's not my fault, she said, offended, making me chuckle. Do you hate me? Yeah. You hesitated, I smiled before kissing her again, but this time she resisted, though not for long. When she gave up, she hugged me and turned our bodies so she was on top. When we had to separate, we looked at each other in silence for a couple of seconds before joining our lips again in burning desire. While she touched my hair, I caressed her bare back and went down to her buttocks. I groaned at the sound of Nezuko's moan as my index finger brushed against the elastic of her thong, and gently I slipped my fingers underneath her. Nezuko opened her mouth as she felt my fingers parting her labia. You're so wet, I murmured without taking my eyes off hers. Nezuko's face contorted with pleasure. I licked my dry lips before taking hers again and moving down to her breasts. Giyuu, shut up, she whispered breathlessly as I began to gently move my finger in circles over her clitoris. Whatever you say, I whispered, kissing one of her breasts before turning around and pulling down her garment, then opening her legs wide. I don't understand why she's complaining about the scars, there aren't many, and they give her a daring look. Giyuu, I don't want to be the only one naked, she whispered. I'm sorry, I smiled and kissed his lips before taking off my clothes, leaving us both naked. I intertwined my hand with his before doing so, and I had to kiss his lips to silence his scream. It hurt. It's okay, it'll pass, I whispered, kissing her forehead and lips, trying to calm her. When she no longer felt pain, I entered her again, gently at first, but the pain increased with each passing second. I groaned as I felt a tingling sensation throughout my body that made me moan. Nezuko wasn't any better, she was about to come, her back was completely arched. Damn it. I whispered when I couldn't hold back any longer. A short time later, Nezuko couldn't go on either. As I pulled away, I began to feel spasms of relief that made me tremble. I love you, Nezuko Kamado. Me too, Giyuu. Chapter. Dawn broke once again, but for us it was the first awakening after 2 years, and now we were back together. After that time we did it again and continued until dawn, every caress and kiss we gave each other without restraints in this room, still with our naked bodies under the sheets. I opened my eyes a little but closed them again because of the sun coming in through that single window, let out a sigh and turned around, smiling as I saw her sleeping peacefully beside me. Good morning, she whispered sleepily. How did you sleep? I asked, caressing her cheek and making her smile. Very well, she replied with a smile before sitting down and getting dressed just like me. I think it's time to get up. I need to see how things are, she said, trying to go to the door, but I pinned her against the wall and ran my hands over sensitive parts of her body. Giyuu, we have to. I'm sorry, I apologized before kissing and licking her neck, making her moan. I missed you so much, I whispered, making her blush. I shook my head with a smile before lifting her legs and entering her again. Nezuko, Tanjiro called, where are you? I covered her mouth as I was about to answer. If she said even a word, she'd find us, and I didn't want that to happen. Not now, not right now. Buddy, Inosuke called. Inosuke, have you seen my sister? He asked. I can't find her. What's the matter? I smell Nezuko, she said happily, but also Giyuu, are they together? Well, damn sense of smell. They must be in one of these rooms, he said, and began opening door after door until he stopped and tried to open the door to the room we were in. Are you stupid? Hashibira asked, annoyed. Nezuko and that pillar were a couple for several years, it's no surprise they're together. But I want to talk to Nezuko, ask her about our siblings and dad. She was with them, I need to know. We have a mission, so quickly, find your katana. Well, but I'm not going to wait for you, move those feet, they're good for something, don't keep the king of the mountain waiting. Okay, I'll talk to her when I get back. Come on, I'm itching to kill some demons. I haven't fought one in days, I'm going to get bored, who would have thought it? That boar-faced guy just saved us. We have to go out or someone will find us, she advised, adjusting her kimono. I smiled and stole a kiss. Okay, Nezuko. I called and took her hand. What's happening? Before you go, I want to ask you something. Do you want to be my girlfriend again? I think you already know the answer, Giyuu Tomioka, he whispered and kissed my cheek, but yes, I accept to be your girlfriend. Pinky promise. Sometimes you're pathetic, Kamado, but I care about you and I love you. Be proud, you're the only one I love. You should marry me, not Tomioka. And you heartless Takatu, I appreciate your love, but I won't marry you. Why did you fall in love with him? I asked curiously. It was because. I know, I interrupted. It's because of the hex, right? Is he good at it? I asked, making her blush. I heard you last night, there's a window, you know. How much did you see? It was like a hexes chapter or mini-book, but thinking about it, it wasn't that small because they kept at it until the sun came up. In a big book, 5 pages, in a small one 10, but if it's really small, half a book. I smiled when I saw my friend's face. When she blushed, she was so cute, but now her blush had spread to her ears and neck. With her pale skin, it was very noticeable. Yes, I smiled. How long were you staring at us? Ever since Giyuu covered his face, then caught you when you said you hated him, Tanjiro wanted to enter the room, but not for an orgy, but to kill Tomioka for how he was bucking his sweet little sister. What? She whispered, formerly blushing, now pale. What is the name of that bird? Muikaru. Don't worry, they didn't stay long. Shinobu took him away, maybe to do it in his or her room. Tanjiro's become a bit of a ladies' man, a different kind of one. He doesn't mess with girls, but if a girl approaches, he flirts with her. I never thought my brother would become a Don Juan. Calm down, he just wants Shinobu. I don't know if maybe he took her to make love or have hex. Maybe you two started making love, but then it was just hex, so thanks. When I get a girlfriend, I'll know how to do it. Do girls like having their breasts bitten? You seem to like it. Please be quiet. I'm a man, I can't experience what it feels like, I continued, speaking casually. No. For 3 reasons. First, it would look bad even though there are heterosexuals now. Second, I would never betray you except for what happened 2 years ago when I turned into a child and Giyuu wouldn't stop kissing me and touching my chest. Did he do it? If you know, why are you asking? Do you want to know the number? No, I don't want to know anything more. Really? Yes. Better yet, if I told you what else he did to me, we wouldn't be dating anymore and you would have hit him. Did he do anything else? He asked, coming closer to me. Tell me. Didn't you say you didn't want to know? I asked, seeing Nezuko's face was funny, but I still shouldn't tell her what Tomioka did to me when we were alone. I smiled sadly and took a lock of her hair, remembering the feeling of happiness I felt when I saw her in Aguro's arms. That night 2 years ago, she helped me not by saving me like she did the others, but in a different way. She gave me the strength I needed to overcome it, and she was there for me. Memory. Winter dance, I shouted using his tactic and ran towards the demon. When he heard me, he looked at me with fear. He knew that only Nezuko's tactics could kill him, and he already knew which part of the body he should touch. He was perhaps a double. If I managed to kill him, I would weaken the real one. Nezuko told me how to tell them apart, and that's what I was going to find out right now. Okay, he doesn't know which part, I heard him whisper. Nezuko, please help me. I grabbed the katana and ran towards him, took a breath and jumped, relaxed my body and in the air did a horizontal turn. When I had him close, I extended my arm and made a thrust, embedding the katana in his chest and a vein in his leg that connected to his heart. When I hit the ground, I quickly turned around to see the demon. I was hoping that wasn't double. The demon fell to his knees and took off his shirt, touching his chest. A few seconds later, his entire body was covered in a thin layer of ice. I smiled when I saw veins where his heart should have been. Yeah, that woman is a, he whispered, but Sanmi kicked him, pushing him away. Shut up and die. I'm the only one who can speak ill of her, not some scum and demon trash. He smiled and plunged his katana into Sanmi's chest. Sanmi took a step back as the ice grew stronger and exploded. Great. Hey Muakiro, are you all right? Yes, I have no wound or pain, I smiled. End of memories. Nezuko. Yes, thank you for helping us that night. Without you we would have died, but you saved us when we were in trouble. Friends help each other no matter their flaws or what they've done before. If they need help, you have to do it because that's what a friend would do. I don't know if I've told you, Sanmi, my sister and brother, but thank you for killing me. Did you say kill? Everyone thinks I was strong, that I hurt him, and that's true. I didn't let him use my ability, but sometimes when I couldn't, he hurt me. He always made me remember bad times, one of them being when Muzan killed my family. That afternoon, he made me relive that same memory, but it was very real, like I was experiencing it again, but Muzan wasn't there that night. He made me believe that I killed my family. What? I asked, speechless. Nezuko lowered her head and hugged her legs. I tried to defend myself, telling him I wasn't the one, but he said, you're a demon, you were one, and you always will be. You couldn't do anything, and you never will because you're weak and useless as a daughter and sister. Don't forget that you're connected to the man who killed your little brothers, whom you loved so much. You have his blood and you're part of him. You're a murderer, Kamado Nezuko. I'm not a murderer. I tried to protect them, I swear, but he was right, I'm very weak. Don't say that, I whispered, hugging her. You were just a child, only 12 years old, but you were able to do what no one else could. You got up even in pain, you were able to touch him and push him into your rice cooker, burning almost part of his face. In the battle against him, no one else could touch him or physically harm him. They only used their abilities, but you were able to. He told me, if I die, you will die with me. I didn't complain, I couldn't stand him for another second. I bit my lip hard. Nezuko was very sad and I didn't like seeing her like that. I know I'm not a clown, but I didn't like seeing her sad because of someone. I smiled when I had an idea. Muakiro? I asked as I began to stroke her hair and back. Nezuko liked being stroked. I once thought it was a puppy because of the petting, but it was just Nezuko. She suffered while she was with him, but when we killed him, well, she could finally be at peace. I still remember the dream I had. When she was talking to me about the devil, the tactics, and how to differentiate the real self from the double self, I asked to be with her one last time before she returned to her family, and she granted my request. Memory. Muakiro, Mom called softly in my ear. I opened my sleepy eyes, my eyes filling with tears at the sight of her smile, and I hugged her tightly, confusing her. Son, what's wrong? Mom, I whispered, still crying. The warmth of her body and her hand on my head made me cry even harder. Muakiro, she asked worriedly, moving a little away from me, did you have bad dreams again? I'm happy to see you again. Maybe you shouldn't go with the Kamados, he murmured, placing a hand on my forehead. The Kamados? Yes, Tanjiro and Nezuko are waiting for you, but if you're feeling unwell, you can go tomorrow. Go back to sleep. No, I said quickly and stood up, tossing my messy hair. I want to see Nezuko, I want to see her. I'm glad you're good friends, now get up and take a bath, you have a long way to go. I don't care, I smiled and gave her one last hug before running off. The journey north took 3 hours, but I didn't mind, my smile never faded. My brother didn't come with me, nor did my dad or mom. I went alone because I seemed to know the way. My brother said I'd done it alone many times and they'd come to my house too. When I arrived in the village, I saw all the people that Nezuko and Tanjiro knew, like that boy who was always getting beaten up by a woman because she thought he had broken something important, but it was someone else, and the last time Tanjiro saved him, it was a cat. I was stunned to see a man who looked very much like Tanjiro but was much older selling charcoal. When he turned around and saw me, he smiled gently. "Muakairo," he called to me, his tone of voice calm and gentle. "Tanjiro and Nezuko are waiting for you. I still have to sell some charcoal." "Can I accompany you?" I asked, approaching the man. "I promise I'll help you." "Thank you, Muakairo," he smiled at me. I took his hand and we started walking and selling charcoal. When someone called him over to buy some, Tanjiro knelt down so I could take some charcoal and ran over to the other person. She smiled at me and gave me the money. I smiled back and ran back. When the coal ran out, we started climbing the mountain to the house. Tanjiro was dancing, his brothers were smiling and waving. Nezuko had one of her brothers on her lap and was smiling too. When she saw me, she put her brother aside and ran to me. What I was experiencing was just a dream, and the last time I would be with Nezuko. When I woke up, I would already be in the present, and Nezuko would be gone forever. My best friend and sister would be back with her family, and now that I saw them, I was happy for her. Nezuko didn't deserve the death she endured, and even when she was devoured, she couldn't return to them because she was still inside him. But when we killed him, Nezuko could finally find peace. "Muakairo," she asked, worried, "why are you crying?" "I'm so happy to see you again," I replied, crying. Nezuko smiled and hugged me again. "I'm your friend, and friends are always together even when we can't see each other. Do you forget about the sun when the moon comes out?" "No. We're best friends and we'll always be together. Even though I can't see you, I'll never forget you. All the good and bad times we've been through will always be in my mind. I'll take care of you even if you can't see me. Pinky promise," he said firmly but smiling, and raised his pinky. I smiled and raised my pinky too. "Pinky promise. Now let's go prepare onigiri and mochi," she said, taking my hand and leading me to where her brothers and mother were. The afternoon was a lot of fun. Tanjiro taught me his dad's dance, Hanako and I played with paper making different shapes, and Takeo, Rokyuta and Shidri played other games. Now I was sitting next to Tanjiro and Nezuko was with us, lying on Tanjiro's lap. Nezuko brought me the dorayaki she and her mom had cooked, and the three of us ate while laughing. Nezuko and I were 9 years old and Tanjiro was 10. Nezuko had short hair, wore her patterned pink kimono, but her eyes were violet with a certain sparkle that made them very pretty. "Thank you, Nezuko." "End of memories. That Tomioka had better watch out for you or he'll have me to deal with." "Thank you, Muakairo. And if he doesn't want to marry you, I will, Pinky promise." Emotions. My body fell to the ground and began to writhe, but I still hadn't let go of her. My grip grew stronger with every movement of my body and moan. I no longer felt the same as before. My strength had returned and I could hold the katana, but it wasn't the same. I was immature to believe I could put into practice one of the forms he taught me and did for me. I wasn't going to attempt the dance Dad taught me. If I started trembling and fell to the floor with Irakodaki's dance, I didn't want to know what would happen to me if I tested myself on one of your riches. As I moved the katana, I remembered the warnings Irakodaki gave me when I was his disciple. That katanas broke, only horizontal cuts, and most importantly, if I didn't come back from the final, he would know and be angry with me, not like Zenitsu's master who hit him on the head with his staff. But if I came back and saw that my katana was broken in two, he would give me the same blows as Zenitsu's sensei. They appeared to be friends or just colleagues, but how could they not be since both had previously been pillars? Since I didn't want to receive the same blows as Zenitsu, I stayed alive and took care of my katana even though many demons came at me, and I had to make several strong blows and use ice forms. I thought my sword would break in two like Sabito's when he tried to cut the throat of that many-handed demon. Last night I fought a demon just like that. The good thing about all this is that I didn't get hit by Irakodaki. I jumped when I felt someone's hands on my waist and how I lifted myself up a little to turn around. "Tomioka, why were you trembling on the floor?" he asked, worried. I dropped the katana before hugging him. Apparently she had woken up very emotional today. "It doesn't matter," I whispered, trying to smile, but a grimace came out and a tear fell. "I don't know why the latter." "Did you just arrive? How did your mission go?" "Good, I didn't have any problems," he replied and tried to pull away, but I stopped him and unbuttoned the first two buttons of his shirt. "Nezuko." "No problem," I asked, annoyed. "If you didn't have any problem, why is there blood on your chest?" "There were only a few attacks." "Take off your shirt, the white one too," I ordered, arms crossed. "I'm fine." "You're not Giyuu," I countered. "What happened on your mission?" "Well, the demi was strong. I wasn't lying when I said there were only a few attacks. They really were. I was able to kill him before he tried to kill me. Come on, I'll heal your wounds, I murmured, taking her hand. It's hard. It was the only word he said as he submerged himself in the bathwater. Some injured hunters, seeing us walking, became worried but said nothing and entered the room at the Major's warning, even though he stumbled every 2 steps he took. What else did that demi do to her? When we went into the bathroom, I told him what he had to do, get in the tub. Giyuu pouted and made a lot of excuses while taking off his clothes, but then he stopped talking and submerged himself in the water. Make room for me, I asked. I don't think you have enough strength to rub the blood off your wounds, besides it bothers you, I added. Giyuu gave a tired smile and leaned forward. I took off my hayori and kimono before entering the water. Once inside, Giyuu leaned against my bare chest, as if my torso were a comfortable pillow to sleep on. I smiled tenderly and stroked his jet black hair before gently cleaning his wounds and running my small hands over his body, eliciting a few sighs of satisfaction from my partner's lips. I thought you didn't like baths. You said so before, I said, continuing to run my hands over her body even though there was no more blood to clean. Giyuu opened his eyes and looked at me, narrowing his eyes. If you had told me it would be like this, I wouldn't have said anything and I would have tried to escape. And you could have done it, you have more willpower than I do. I love you, I had to tell you, he murmured, lowering his head slightly so that a stray strand of damp hair fell across his eyes. Water trickled down his broad shoulders, his well-formed chest bore traces of scars. I lifted his face and made him look at me. I took my partner's face and lifting him by the chin, I eliminated the distance that separated us and kissed him. Giyuu moved away for a second to turn around, lift me up to place me on his lap and return my kiss. The kiss grew in intensity as we caressed each other. All traces of pain in Giyuu's body seemed to disappear, giving way to a passionate lover. Giyuu bit my lower lip as he pulled away from me and slid his nose down my neck to my bare chest. At that moment, I abandoned all restraint and let myself be swept away by him once again into a spiral of unbridled passion. All I could feel was Giyuu around me, slowly devouring me, making me feel like I was in paradise. But I snapped back to reality when I heard him groan and remembered he was hurt and why we were in the bathroom. I'm sorry, love, I forgot you were hurt. I apologized, embarrassed, and tried to get up, but Giyuu hugged me and kissed me again. I no longer feel pain. Sometimes you're a liar, Tomioka Giyuu, but I still love you, I said, making him chuckle softly. But he stopped laughing to bring our lips together again. The water was hot, but our bodies were hotter, boiling as if our blood had turned into molten lava in our veins. Are you leaving? No, I smiled and sat down, but I won't do what you have in mind, even if it's just a tentative idea. You're hurt, but you can get out of the water now. I cleaned the blood off your body, now I just need to bandage your wounds. I'll look like a bandaged corpse. An attractive bandaged corpse, I said, handing him a gray kimono. Here, unless you want to walk around naked, I added, picking up his uniform from the floor. I'll have your uniform washed. Wait for me in the room, I instructed, leaving the room. Good morning, Nezuko, Shizu greeted me, but she didn't get up to greet me because she was washing 2 uniforms. Hi Shizu, can you do me a favor? You know what? Yes, it's all for my friend and boss. I'll always be grateful to you. You gave me a home, you saved me from dying. Thank you for letting me work at the Lodo Ranch. Shizu, sometimes you seem like a demon but also like a lump of sugar. I'm only second best to my friends, others don't deserve my good attitude. I'm glad, I smiled. I would do it myself, but I have to help Giyuu. When you're finished, you can wash this uniform. He just got back from a mission and hurt himself. I consider it done. Thank you. Come on, Giyuu, don't act like a child, let me bandage your arm, I pleaded, trying not to lose my patience. I had already applied medicine to his injured areas and a bandage, but when I tried to bandage his arm, he protested. Sometimes he looked like a child. Giyuu turned black again, grabbed my cheeks, our lips meeting once more, and pushed me to the ground. So that's what I wanted. If I accept, will you let me bandage your arm? I asked. He nodded. Okay, I accept, I conceded. Giyuu smiled and kissed my neck as he removed my hayori and lowered my new kimono. Tanjiro finally kept his word and bought me a kimono. I moaned as I felt his caresses before he pulled me closer to him, and with a hip movement entered me. I bit his shoulder when he thrust hard, making him groan. It was the first time I'd bitten him, but it was that or scream. But the bite wasn't hard, and so we continued surrendering to each other, feeling emotions that wouldn't let us think straight. We were in love and felt affection for each other, but we also felt passion. Chapter updated. It seems only you can use the katana without hurting yourself, Yushiro said, making me smile. Did it really hurt everyone who tried to use it? Yes, Shizu and Jin have a scar on the palm of their hand. Your sister and her friends tried it too, but they got hurt. It's very sharp. I still don't understand how a katana can decide who can use it and who can't. I smiled and moved the weapon slightly. Yes. It must be because it's the weapon of the only half-demon human, he said, making us both laugh. Where's your partner? Wasn't he with you? He had to go to a pillars meeting. Have you thought about joining the group? You were an excellent pillar. Thank you for the compliment, I smiled, but you're not the only one who's asked if I should rejoin the pillars. 2 days ago, I received a message from Yubayashiki Kiriya asking me to return and saying he'd await my reply. Did he write you a letter? He asked, astonished. Yeah. Haven't you answered him because you don't want to, or? He asked again, this time hesitantly. I pursed my lips thinking of a response. It was rude not to answer, but perhaps he already knows I don't want to, although. Nezuko Jin called, entering the room. She seemed agitated. What's happening? There's a group of people at the door. They're looking for the pillars. They are helpers. No, please comes, he pleaded, taking my hand and pulling me up from the floor. What are you doing here? I asked, seeing a dozen demis in front of the gate. One of them, the largest, he must be the leader of the group, approached and showed his weapon. Where are the pillars? They're where it's none of your business, I replied, making him angry. You're not a pillar, you just have a simple katana. Katana that has already killed many of your kind. Answer me or it will be worse for you. Where are the pillars? I already answered you. That weapon you're carrying, he said, his voice trembling. I lowered my head slightly and looked at my katana. It was no longer white with a blue hilt. The blade was red, adorned with a crimson gem, and the hilt was white. The blood running down my arm stained the edge. It had changed again. Tell me, girl, why do you have the katana of that former pillar? He asked, taking a step forward. She died and was devoured. The demon left his Haori and katana so his friends would suffer, but yes, that demon devoured every part of his body, I muttered through gritted teeth. I hated remembering that night. I was weak. I didn't have to listen to his words. I didn't have to follow my feelings of sadness and anger. Dad told me so. Are you related to the Kamado family? He asked. You don't want to answer. Fine, I'll get the truth out of you. Destroy this place and kill everyone, he ordered his henchmen. I'll take care of you. Giiyu POV. He was angry with Kiriya. He had asked Nezuko to rejoin the group knowing that she had died fulfilling one of her missions. I didn't want him to come back. I was afraid the same thing would happen again. I didn't want to lose people I loved again. I already suffered for 2 years. I didn't want to repeat the same thing. Help, shouted some girls running towards us all. What's happening? Demons, danger, they began to say at the same time. None of us understood, but everything made sense when we heard loud banging coming from the Kamado house. I drew my katana and started running, followed by the others. When we entered, the gate had fallen. All the wounded annihilators were on the floor in pain, some dead, as well as many demigods and monsters, but I didn't care. The only thing that mattered to me was my girlfriend. Many semis began to emerge from all parts of the ranch, with blood on their bodies and weapons. I killed the demi-demon who tried to hurt me before running back to the house with Shinobu and Tanjiro. Muikairu and Sanemi had stayed behind to help, and Aguro had gone to the courtyard. Enizuko, where are you? Shinobu and Tanjiro shouted, going in and out of the rooms. I went downstairs quickly to the last place I would be. Some semis had cornered Aguro, preventing him from helping Yuashiro, who was fighting against two, but in front of Nezuko, who was lying unconscious on the ground, a pool of blood surrounded her. 3 semis appeared above the wall behind Nezuko and jumped down with their weapons ready to kill her. Wake up! Aguro shouted, but Nezuko opened her eyes. Shinobu tried to run, but other demigods appeared and, like Aguro, cornered her and Tanjiro. When I tried to reach Yuashiro, something pricked my back, causing me to lose my balance. Nezuko, I whispered, extending my hand. Tio, am I okay? Aguro shouted, pointing at something behind me. I tried to turn around, but the pain in my back wouldn't let me. Even so, I managed to see the demigod. He knelt down, smiled at me, waving goodbye, and pointed his weapon at me. Iguro POV. I growled angrily and kicked the monster that grazed my leg. I drew my katana and cut off its head. Who did he think he was to touch me? Anaconda bite, I said, killing 2 that lunged and tried to rip my head off. I got up from the ground and ran to Nezuko's boyfriend, kicked him to the ground, and cut him in half before he could turn around. I denied it when I saw Tomioka. He had fainted. I approached Yushiro and killed the 2 demigods when he slipped. I raised my katana and killed the demigods who tried to touch Nezuko. I glanced over my shoulder at Kachu and Tanjiro. They still hadn't been able to separate themselves from the demigods. I lifted Nezuko's body and began to shake her. Wake up, Nezuko, that's an order. Don't even think about dying again because I'll hunt you down and kill you even if I run into those women, and I'll bring you back. I warned her. Didn't you say you'd protect me? Now I need you to wake up. I hope you will forgive me. I raised my hand and slapped him hard, which made his face move and left marks from my fingers, but I accomplished what I had set out to do. Nezuko awoke. Look out! I shouted, looking behind me for someone, but there was no one there. Nezuko, what's going on? Why are there monsters and demigods everywhere? They were looking for you, the pillars. Sorry for being late. Why were you hurt? They saw my sword and asked if I was related to the nicknamed pillar they gave me 2 years ago. We don't have time to talk, we must help. You stay here. But I can help, you're staying here, I repeated. I don't want you to get hurt again, besides we have things to talk to you about. Obanai, I think Nezuko can help us without hitting them, Yuichiro interrupted me. How are you sure, kid? Mrs. Tamyo gave her ability. SHINOBUPOV. I hit them again, trying to push them away, but they just kept getting closer. I'm tired of them. Petal perfume sleeping aconite, I said, putting them to sleep. I sheathed my katana and ran to Nezuko. Iguro was holding her arm and making a long, deep cut, drawing blood with his katana. What do you think you're doing? I asked, scared and furious at the same time. You're bleeding her out. How could you do to her what those women did to you? I growled when I saw new monsters enter the yard. I'll deal with you later. I warned and ran towards the semis, starting to fight. I hated that they weren't afraid of the sun like the previous demons. I was stunned to see them lose their balance and fall. When they looked up, they started touching everything as if they had gone blind. A few seconds later, each one began to hallucinate until they fell. I turned around quickly and focused my gaze on the three of them. Iguro and Yuichiro were holding Nezuko, who had lost her balance and fainted again. It had been her. Nezuko. Kachu, they called me asking for help. I let out a sigh and approached, knelt down, and took my sister's body, cradling her in my arms. Thank you. Kamado brothers. What was this place? The last thing I remembered was lying next to Nezuko. I was very worried about my sister. Several days have passed since that afternoon when the demigods invaded the estate and Nezuko helped us using a demonic ability, but since that day she hasn't woken up. She has a high fever and several chills, but she never opens her eyes or says a word, although sometimes she moves her lips. Yuichiro said that no demigod touched her that time or launched an attack. Nezuko managed to kill the boss, and the blood beneath her was from a wounded demon slayer who managed to survive. We've called doctors, but none of them can find the reason why. We're all very worried. Tomioka, Muichiro, and I have stayed at Lotus Manor all these days, while Sanemi and Iguro can't because of their missions, but they always come to visit. Muichiro always hugs her and stays like that no matter how much time passes or what his missions are. She's my best friend, she was there for me in my difficult times and supported me, now it's my turn to do the same, he once said before lying down and hugging her. A few days ago I heard Sanemi telling him not to leave him, that he had already lost a loved one. That was sweet, guys. I called when I saw them lying on the ground. When they heard me, they opened their eyes and looked at the place where they were. Kachu, where are we? Iguro asked, annoyed. Just a few seconds ago I was lying down and now Sanemi began to roar, but he fell silent when he saw someone behind me. Kanny, I asked, stunned, but she didn't answer. She just gave me a hug. You've grown, Shinobu. I'm happy to see you again. Where are we? First of all, relax. You're not dead and neither are any of you. I wanted to bring you here to talk, but you're still asleep and probably think this was all just a dream. You haven't changed at all, Sanemi whispered without looking at her. Kanny smiled again. I will always be grateful to Nezuko for helping you and making you happy, but now she's the one who needs you, she murmured, almost in a low voice. What's happening to him? Giyuu asked. I wouldn't know how to answer you. I'm worried because when I went back to her family, I met her and we became friends, she said cheerfully. Her siblings are so sweet, especially the little one. Did you meet them? I asked, speechless. Kanny nodded. Tanjiro and Nezuko's younger siblings were always with them every step of the way. That night they watched as their beloved older sister was beaten and abused by the upper moon demon. They witnessed her death but refused to watch her being devoured. Takeo, Hanako, Rokuta, and Shidru covered their ears, never ceasing their tears. Rokuta cried, evil demon. Hanako begged him not to eat Nissan, but it was too late. When the demon finished, they thought they would see their sister, but Nezuko stayed with him. She made him suffer and prevented him from using his abilities, but the demon also hurt her. What kind of damage? Iguro asked, his hands clenched into fists. Hasn't Nezuko told them? No, I replied, trying to hold back the urge to cry. I don't think I should, but I'll summarize it for you. The demon made her relive bad times. Before you were here, he made her remember the night her siblings died. In the memory, he toyed with her, making her believe she was the one who killed her family. Nezuko kept repeating that it wasn't her, but he said, is a demon, the same filthy kind of demon who killed your family and those people you call friends. They kill every day, but worst of all, you're connected to him. His blood runs through your veins. You are and always will be a filthy, cursed demon of Kibutsuji. Did he tell her that? Tomioka asked angrily. Kanny nodded. Poor Nezuko couldn't take it anymore and cried out for them to kill her. Don't feel bad, but when you killed the demon, you also killed her since she was bound to him. Did I kill Nezuko? I asked, stunned. Don't see it as something bad, but as a salvation. Thanks to you, Nezuko was able to return to her family and stopped being half-demon. I killed my best friend, Muichiro whispered. There are some people who want to meet you, come with me, she said, taking my hand as well as Muichiro's, who had been lost in thought. When we left that place, we saw that all around us were cherry trees and a small house. It only took a second for the door to open and 4 young children to come out, 3 boys and a girl. They had the same eyes as Tanjiro, but the girl looked just like Nezuko, something that didn't go unnoticed by Giyuu, who couldn't stop staring at her mesmerized. They were. We were wondering when you'd come. Welcome to our home, the little girl said with a smile on her lips, but it faded as she started walking toward Giyuu. When they were face to face, the girl jumped. Tomioka now had the girl wrapped around his chest. Ni-chan has chosen well. When will you have children? I asked, making him blush. The rule is 6. 6, she asked, blushing more and more. The girl nodded. After our ancestor, the family consisted of 6 children, and that tradition has continued, he replied without moving away. We all laughed when we saw Giyuu's face. It was priceless. Don't worry, Hanako, Giyuu won't let the tradition end, right, Tomioka? Muikairu asked. Be quiet. Tamyo, I asked as I saw her come through the door. He didn't look like a demon. We asked her to come, Takeo said. We know you're worried about Ni-chan. Tamyo can tell you why she's like this. What's wrong with my girlfriend? When Nezuko returned, she no longer had the demonic side she'd had before, even with the cure, but when she saved them, she used the ability I gave her. When Nezuko was injured, I took her in to care for her, and she stayed with me for months. During that time, I had a conversation with her. I told her that when Muzan killed me, I would give her my demonic ability. Nezuko protested, but it was necessary. When Kibutsuji killed me, I could use my ability, which is why I wanted Nezuko to have it. When she used my ability, her demonic side reawakened. That's why Nezuko hasn't awakened yet. I'm sorry. Will Nezuko become a demon again? I asked, surprised and puzzled at the same time. Yes and no, she must choose. What? Sanemi asked, arms crossed. He hated demons, and Tamyo was no exception. If Nezuko chooses humanity, she'll forget everything. It won't be like this time. She'll revert to the mindset of the 12-year-old human Nezuko who still had her family alive and didn't believe in demons and demon slayers. You mean she'll forget us? I whispered. Tamyo nodded. Yes, since she's in a comatose state and can't understand, we know she won't choose the demonic side. Nezuko always hated being one and will choose the human side without knowing the price. Can't you talk to her? Tomioka asked. The children looked at each other for a moment as if they were speaking a language of glances. Not this time, Takeo replied. We tried recently, but Nezuko won't let us in. She's having a fight with herself right now, Hanako continued. She knows she has to choose, but she doesn't know what will happen when she does, said her twin. The girl nodded. We want Ni-chan to be happy again. It's our most precious wish, Rokuta said, tears welling in her eyes. Ni-chan is a good woman. She always has been and always will be, even if she becomes a demon again. As Takeo said, Nezuko is a very strong person who has had to live through difficult times and endure things just as hard as she is. Ni-chan knows how to take care of herself, but sometimes she needs protection. She deserves to be happy to have a family, and that happiness we took from her should be returned to her. That's why we brought her back. We were the ones to blame, and we don't regret it. Hanako smiled, tears welling in her eyes. Promise us you'll take care of our older brother. We promise. Thank you. Ni-chan. Rokuta tugged at the hem of my sayori, calling my attention. Can I call you that? Yeah. Here, Ni-chan, it's what she was going to give you but couldn't, she said, handing it to me. I was speechless when I saw it. It was a necklace with a delicate gold chain and a pendant in the shape of a white butterfly. It was simply beautiful. We can't talk to her, but we know that if you do, she'll hear you. When she was with us, she always saw you, Shidri smiled. She never stopped loving you and tried, even though you couldn't see her, to show you that you weren't alone, that she would always be with you and take care of you, Hanako added. That time when you said you were alone and preferred death to life, you didn't see or feel her, but she hugged you, Rokuta smiled. Nezuko. Yes, but she didn't just watch over you and take care of you, she took care of all of you too. Once she fought with some women who seemed to be hurting you and blocking your path, Takeo said, pointing at Aguro. Ni-chan told them furiously, I don't give a damn that you're related to Aguro, I won't let you keep hurting him. I'm dead and so are you, but I can kill you a second time, so get away from Iguro, you damn liars, two-faced, prejudiced women. She yelled other things at them and also punched and kicked them. It was fun. Did she do that? He asked, surprised. The children nodded. Yes, those women don't follow you anymore because Nezuko threatened them, saying that if they ever made you feel guilty again for something they themselves did, she would steal Rengoku's sword, make them suffer first, and then kill them slowly and more mercilessly than that snake demon. It seems the beating Ni-chan gave them was quite severe. The children laughed. I frowned when I saw him lower his head. Hadaguro smiled. With that handkerchief covering her mouth, you never know. It's time for you to go back, Kani said. The children pouted. Giyuu-san. Hanako exclaimed, hugging him tighter, as did her brothers, but this time with Muikairo, Aguro, and Sanemi. Rokuta hugged Aguro tightly. Shidru hugged Sanemi, and Takeo initially wiped his tears before resting his head on Muikairu's chest. They have to leave, said a male voice and a female voice. When we all looked up, we found ourselves face to face with the oldest Kamado. Tanjiro was the spitting image of his father. "Are you my daughter's boyfriend?" His father asked. Giyuu nodded and took a step back. "Meeting your girlfriend's father always makes you nervous, but it wasn't just that made him so nervous, it was the katana at his waist. He had taught his older sons the dance of the fire god. Tanjiro once said that his father had defeated a hungry bear and knew all 13 forms, in addition to being able to see through the transparent world. Tanjiro's father, although not a pillar, also knew how to perform concentration breathing perfectly, preventing him from feeling cold whenever he danced, among other things. Giyuu was no one compared to Tanjiro and Nezuko's father. "Yes, sir." "Dad, why do you have his sword?" Hanako asked, still clinging to Giyuu's waist. "Ni-chan will be upset if you do anything to his partner." "Yes, but perhaps I should do something about the times he made her cry. Like that time he stabbed her in the heart in winter, and 2 years later he angrily told her that demons should die, telling my daughter that it wasn't her fault she became one," he said, moving the katana. Tomioka swallowed hard and stepped back again. "I apologized. Mr. Kamado, I swear I didn't mean to hurt your daughter. I was wrong, but I love Nezuko. When she was no longer with us, I felt like I was dead inside because I always needed her and I still do. I'm not lying when I say I love her. Knowing that someone cares about you when you know no one else appreciates you and even hates you is a good feeling. That time she came to me one night with a plate of food and a blanket because she knew I hadn't eaten and was cold, I started to feel so many things for her. She healed me when I came back from a mission injured." Tanjiro smiled contentedly and sheathed his katana. "Tomioka-san," Hanako called, tugging at his hayori. "Stop trembling, Dad was just testing you. I wanted to know how much you loved my daughter, and what you've told me confirms it. Thank you for loving my daughter, you've made her happy." "I think it's the complete opposite." "I won't let them leave," Aiko said for the first time, "not before we eat." Aiko Kamado was a good cook, now I know where Nezuko learned from. After lunch the children wanted to play with us before we left, so we did. Shidru played tag with Muikaro, Hanako made Giyuu a flower crown and asked him to carry her like a princess, and then Rokuta played horsey with Seinmi and also hide-and-seek. Seinmi spun around making him laugh and Takeo and Aguro had a competition. After we finished playing, it was time to leave. Hanako and Rokuta didn't want us to go. Hanako had hugged Giyuu, Seinmi, Aguro, and Muikaru and was crying loudly. The four of them told her they would always remember her and that the day would come when they would see each other again. That didn't completely calm her down, but it did stop her crying. However, she started crying again when she hugged me this time. We started walking but turned around to see the Kamado family one last time. Muikaru and Genya's brother, telling Tomioka's sister. Kani, who was holding Rokuta, waved his hand just like he did in farewell. "Bye-bye, I'm going to miss you," I whispered, caressing the pendant on my necklace. "Me too, that girl has stolen my heart," Aguro smiled sadly. Hanako raised her hand higher, now skipping a little. "I'll miss you so much." The children cried, "See you later, I hope to see you in a few years." "Goodbye," we both raised our hands in farewell before continuing to walk away. "Take care of my sister, she deserves to be happy but she always suffers. We don't want Nisan to suffer again." Takoyaki and blood pillars. "Good mornings." "What are you doing here?" I asked gruffly. Shinobu shook her head disapprovingly and nudged me with her elbow. "The boss isn't to blame, nor are we for what happened to Nezuko. Stop making that face and acting like that, that's why everyone hates you," she scolded me, but I ignored her. "You're always unbearable." We had recently been with Nezuko, and she was still the same as when we left. She had a fever that was fluctuating, and she was also having chills. Why does she always have to pay a price for saving us? We shouldn't let her come to our rescue again, but we always get into trouble. She took her roles as friend, girlfriend, sister, and pillar very seriously. Few people have done half of what she did for each of them. Ever since I was with her, even though we were just acquaintances, I felt like the luckiest man to have her by my side. She didn't want anything like that to happen to her again. "Nezuko is the only one who can calm that heartless tomb," Seinmi said, looking at the girls and not hiding his annoyance. He was one of the people who didn't want Nezuko to become a demon slayer again, since she had died 2 years prior after completing a mission first. Nezuko had returned, and we didn't want her to leave again, not if we could stop it. "I have a name." "That doesn't matter to me," he said, taking a step forward. "Is something wrong?" Tanjiro asked from beside me. "We only came to find out the condition of Kamado Nezuko our brother sent us. She has a fever and it won't go down. That's her condition right now," I said again, earning another reprimand from the insect pillar. When she once changed her words about liking being compared to a butterfly to things I don't remember because I don't care, I told her that the only thing she resembles is an insect. After saying that, she tried to strangle me, but she backed off because Nezuko asked her to, although she also asked, or rather, ordered me to apologize. I didn't want to argue, so I did it my way. Doing it wasn't such a bad idea since Nezuko was happy and hugged me, even giving me a kiss when Kachu left. When my girlfriend walked away, she went to the kitchen, and since I had nothing to do, I followed her. Memory. Is this a new recipe? Yes, it's called takoyaki. Want to try some? I asked, bringing one to my mouth. You won't know if you like it unless you try it, don't be a kid. Fine, I agreed, playing hard to get. When I started chewing, I had to use willpower. The sauces and seasonings created an explosion of flavors on my palate. Another one, I asked, but Nezuko refused and pushed the plate away. You're cruel. You're more like that. Wait for lunch, she said, turning her back to me to continue cooking. Giyuu, I called when I hugged her waist and started kissing her neck and cheek. Stop, I'm not going to. Okay, but it'll only be one, she said, handing me the plate. You're a glutton, Tomioka-kun, Shinobu said, but I didn't care and continued savoring the takoyaki. Want to try one? She offered. Maybe you'll like it, she said. Shinobu didn't hesitate and tried it. It wasn't long before Kachu threw herself into Nezuko's arms and started frantically begging for another one. But it wasn't just her. Tanjiro, Muikaru, Iguro, and Sanemi, who had only come because of an order from Oyakata-sama and one of them was injured, also joined in. Don't be cruel, Muikaru scolded her, tugging at her again as he tried to grab a takoyaki, but Nezuko stopped him. Give us another one, Sanemi continued. Don't look at us like that, it's your fault for cooking the recipes well, now give it to us or we won't let you go, Obanai warned, his snake hissing. I never would have thought he would behave that way. I understand now, I'll make a dish for each of you, she said wearily. Muikaru and Iguro had grabbed both of Nezuko's arms and were pulling her. She had tried to hit them but couldn't land a blow. While that was happening, Shinobu and I ate some takoyaki while watching the pillars act like children asking their mother for candy. Muikaru licked his fingers and ran his tongue over his lips when he finished eating the last one. From that day on, those three have come to eat. End of memory. Why did they want to bring her back into the groups? Shinobu asked, her expression changing. Let's talk in private, Tanjiro suggested. We all nodded and went to the room where Nezuko used to hold her meetings. We all know that demigods are stronger than demons because of their immunity to sunlight. Wisteria doesn't affect them as much and previous breathing techniques didn't work. Since Nezuko was the first to possess a sword that could harm them and knew how to kill them, in addition to her skill level, our brother asked her to kill the demigods. Kamado had to travel back and forth for 3 days. After finishing one, a crow gave him another mission. Did my sister have to fight alone for 3 days? Tanjiro asked, his mouth agape. I know you'll think we were selfish, but she was the only one who could beat them, said a short girl. On the night of the 3rd day, she asked our brother for help. Although she did well, she couldn't continue fighting alone, so she asked to train the pillars first. Nezuko came to my estate one night. It was very late, Sanemi said, letting his head fall into his fist. He went to mine too, Iguro said. Why am I talking to you first? I asked, a little jealous. Remember when we were looking for the plants to make the antidote to make you grow up? Sanemi reminded us. We had to fight a demon in the House of Drums. We would take care of the demon and Nezuko would take care of the monster. Don't be jealous, Tomioka, wipe that look off your face, Sanemi teased. Being with her helped us understand better what Nezuko was telling us. She gave us some tests and we did well. Then she asked us to help her train them. The master had already told the katana forgers to make them for us first, but different ones. Nezuko sent them a letter explaining how they should be made. The temporary ball test was fun, Sanemi chuckled. Many people ended up with bandages. Be quiet. 2 years have passed, and in that time with Nezuko gone, the demigods have become more aggressive and predatory since there's no one to scare them. They've also developed various ways to become stronger, said a girl. After the little fight that happened at the Lotus Hacienda, all the demigods know the rumor that a girl defeated one of the bosses with Nezuko's sword, and they even look alike, her sister continued. We need Nezuko, she was the one who kept them in check. The girls are right about one thing, the demigods have become more aggressive, Muikaru muttered, his hands clenched into fists. There have already been many deaths, not just among ordinary people but also among the hunters. Most of the Musanodo-level hunters have died. The demigods will continue killing until they reach the pillars. We need Nezuko's help. She's always been the strongest, and we know she still is. A group of 5 can hold off a boss, but it takes more to kill him. Nezuko was able to defeat him that afternoon all on her own. Please, they begged, lowering their heads. I looked to my side at my colleagues. They looked worried and seemed to be communicating with each other through glances. Everyone in the group knew that Nezuko was the strongest of the 7. Her demonic side also helped her in battle. Have there really been many deaths? Iguro asked. The girls nodded. The others want to leave the group for fear of what might happen to them. If they all leave, there will be no one left to protect humans from the demigods. We need the blood pillar. Please speak with Nezuko Kamado. I don't want my sister to die again, but Shinobu began but was silenced by Shizu and Jin's shouts. Pillars. Shizu and Jin called as they entered the room. What's wrong? Shinobu asked, puzzled by her friend's expressions. Nezuko woke up, they said excitedly. We all got up and ran to the room, forgetting the girls. I opened the door and looked at the bed where she was sitting on her knees. Nezuko was covering her face, but she lowered her hands and raised her head, her eyes. Hello. First group mission. It's been a few days since my sister woke up. She's become a demon again, but her human side is still with her. That same day, Nezuko said she would rejoin the group. None of us could say anything. We wanted to keep her safe, but bad things were happening within the group. When everyone heard the news that Nezuko was coming back to the group, they were all excited. She did her first mission alone, but this new one that the boss gave her was accompanied by the others. The four of us went our separate ways. Before Nezuko left, Shinazugawa warned her that if she returned with any injuries, no matter how small, he would scold her and keep her off missions for a week. Sanemi looked like a mother at that moment. When will she get married? I know Sanemi won't answer me, but he will answer Nezuko. She's the only girl he can stand, that's what he says, but in reality, Nezuko is the girl he loves most, and since he doesn't have a brother, Nezuko is like one to him. It's been half an hour, she should be here by now, Obanai said, annoyed, though his eyes betrayed his concern. Let's look for her, Sanemi murmured, starting to walk. Obanai and I followed him. If anything happens to her, I'll kill the boss. Right now, I wish I had Tanjiro's sense of smell, I murmured. He looks like a damn dog. It doesn't matter that Nezuko is my friend, I still hate him. Ara, I didn't know you were so resentful, I said, amused. That headbutt happened 6 years ago. Even so, he hated it. Stop talking and keep running, she went west, Iguro ordered before quickening his pace. Iguro and Giyuu are related. They both hide their emotions and appear cold, but with their special girl, they're incredibly loving. I heard that, he shouted, making Sanemi and me laugh. What did you call me? My sister asked, her hands clenched into fists and her gaze fixed on the floor. Congratulations, now you've really made me angry, she muttered, lifting her head. Her eyes had shifted to a demonic hue. You think I'm afraid of you because of the size difference. Don't underestimate me, she warned. The monster roared and charged at my sister. Nezuko ran after him too, but we heard her before she could. She was about to use a blood demon art, but we didn't know which one. If I remember correctly, Nezuko only has one tactic. I don't think that will kill that monster. It was too big, you could see at a glance that it was strong. We must help her, Iguro said, but Sanemi refused. She has a plan. Blood explosion won't help her, and she won't do it unless she's one of those demons. Her abilities are illusion and mind manipulation. She won't be any use against that big guy. I looked worriedly at Nezuko. She had started dodging the attacks he was sending her, but he still managed to cut off her arm and leg. If anything happens, we'll intervene, I said, and they nodded. How annoying. She shouted furiously. I'm fed up with your games and tricks. I don't care if you're twice as strong. I'm not like the people you massacre. I'm a demon too, she said. I looked in surprise at her arm. It was bleeding, not because of the demon, but because of her own actions. Blood demon ability, visual prison. None of the three could understand this new form. The only thing they knew was that it was a combination of a blood explosion and Tamio's ability, which were the patterns. After saying those words, a pink fire surrounded the demon. Nezuko drew her katana and entered the fire without any problem, just like Tanjiro did that time on Mount Natagumo. All we heard was a cry of pain. When the fire died down, there were lifeless bodies around Nezuko. The only living one Nezuko was holding by the neck. You've tested my patience, but I'll ask you one more time. We all thought you were dead, he groaned, Nezuko smiling falsely. Well, that's bad luck. Do you want me to do to you what I did 2 years ago to a group of level 10 players? I threatened, don't test me. Only high-level players can do it. Always, or is it now? We didn't know how to do it, but now we do, something but. No, liar, but it doesn't matter anymore, I'll ask someone else. Sayonara, she said, taking her leave before killing him and letting him fall. What did you do? I asked, stunned. I combine my demon art with Tamio's. My blood thickens, trapping my opponent, but I also create a hallucination that makes them believe they're trapped in a kind of labyrinth and they struggle to get out. I managed to enter without any problem and kill them from the inside without giving them a chance to escape, he replied casually. When I was with Rengoku, Sabito, and the others, they gave me several battle ideas. That particular idea came from Rengoku. What else did they teach you? Iguro asked. I smiled proudly and jumped, hugging my sister's back. She lay down a little and took my legs. When she stood up again, I wrapped my legs around her waist and rested my chin on her shoulder. When the boss gave the four of us this mission, I remembered the many missions we went through together, and I know it wasn't just me. They had also had missions alongside Nezuko. As we descended the mountain, we talked about each other's anecdotes, sometimes letting out a laugh or two. Upon arriving at an inn, we had dinner and drinks to celebrate our first group mission, and also because Nezuko had rejoined the pillars. When we drank too much, the boys, stumbling, carried us and took us to the foreroom. Friends like you. I opened my eyes a little and sat up, my head still hurt. I shouldn't have drunk so much, but the boys must be feeling worse. I covered my mouth trying to hold back my laughter when I saw the boys. They had slept together, but Nezuko was among them. What had happened? Before losing consciousness, I remember Nezuko lying down next to me and the boys far away from us, but now they were close, they had Nezuko between them and they seemed very comfortable. Sanmi used Nezuko as if she were a sleeping plushie and Obanai as a pillow, her head resting on his chest, not forgetting the snake that was on his arm. When had they woken up and settled Nezuko between them? If Tomioka saw them, he wouldn't just be furious, he'd kill them. Tanjiro would be jealous like any brother. Go back to sleep, Kachu, Sanmi whispered with his eyes closed. Why are they hugging? I tried to ask, but Sanmi turned his back on me and went back to sleep hugging Nezuko. They knew it. Did they love her so much that they used her as a pillow? Are Mitsuri and Aguro dating? If they are, Obanai is cheating on her, but all three of them were fully clothed, and the way they hugged her wasn't perverted, it was tender. I closed my eyes and turned my back on them, but I couldn't sleep, not when I imagined Tanjiro beside me, hugging me the same way and kissing me like that time. Damn desire, I hate it, but not him. It still hurts a little, my sister murmured, clinging tighter to Aguro's back. As we descended the stairs, someone ran and tripped over her. Nezuko fell, dislocating her ankle. Although she said it would heal, Aguro shook his head and carried her on his back. Sanmi, being a good friend, punched the guy before following us. I don't know why I was amused at that moment. Upon arriving at the train, we sat down and waited 2 hours until we reached the Lotus Estate. Upon entering, the first people we saw were Muikaru, Tanjiro, and Giyuu. This is where the fun begins. Why are you carrying Nezuko on your back? Giyuu asked jealously, seeing his girlfriend, who had previously been asleep, now covering her face to hide her blush, or rather, to prevent Giyuu from seeing it. If you only knew, I also use it as a pillow. Calm down, Tomioka. Nezuko can't walk because someone tripped over her and she fell down the stairs, I replied. How did your mission go? Tanjiro asked. Great, there were no problems, everyone did their part, although in the end we were scared because Nezuko didn't come back. Was my sister okay? She was fighting a monster that was actually a group of demigods who had joined together, increasing their size and strength. It was at least 1.5 meters tall, but Nezuko managed to kill it, Sanmi replied. Joined. It's not surprising, the same thing happened 3 years ago and that's why the semis were created, he said for the first time without separating from Shinazugawa. Tomioka crossed his arms and frowned angrily at the sight. How did he defeat him? Muikaru asked, intrigued. Combining Blood Blast and one of Tamio's abilities. I replied and separated Nezuko from Aguro. The pillar glared at me. I'll take her to her room, I need to check if her ankle is okay, I said, ending the conversation. Thank you. Don't thank me, this is nothing compared to what he'll do to you when I leave. We were colleagues for so many years and when you weren't around, I got to know him better. I know he'll be incredibly jealous when I go, and you might not be able to get out of bed for days. Nezuko began to tremble and grabbed my hand a little too tightly. Don't go. He seemed very jealous. He looked like he was killing Aguro with his eyes. Hey, you noticed when they slept with you last night? No, I was very drunk. Me too, but you don't feel anything. Are you wondering if either of them tried to take advantage of me? Yeah. No, if something had happened, I would feel something different in my body. They wouldn't dare look at me, and they wouldn't have answered Giyuu's questions so calmly either. You're right, I have to go, I need to tell the boss the news. I said goodbye and left the room, leaving her alone. Maybe I should have stayed to keep her company. I hid behind the wall and looked down the corridor. I covered my mouth when I saw Giyuu. The idiot looked really annoyed and walked into the room without asking. I'm starting to feel sorry for my sister, but it's not all bad. I'm going to be an aunt to a cute baby or babies. I jumped in surprise when I felt someone's hand on my shoulder. Era. Shinobu, Tanjiro asked, why are you hiding? It's not important, is something wrong? I just wanted to thank you for being with my sister on the mission. Nezuko is my best friend and even though we don't share the same blood, I love her like a sister. I will always take care of her. It makes me so happy that Nezuko has friends like you, she smiled and gently pushed me against the wall where I'd been hiding. You're one of a kind, Shinobu Kachu, she whispered before our lips met. Jealousy and best friend. I started trembling when I heard his footsteps approaching. In a few seconds he would be in front of me. Maybe he'll make a jealous scene. I quickly looked up when I heard the sound of the door opening and closing, and I started to back away when I saw her face. Shinobu's words were still echoing in my head. Don't thank me, this is nothing compared to what he'll do to you when I leave. So many years as colleagues, and when you weren't around I got to know him better. I know that when I leave he'll come back very jealous and maybe you won't be able to get out of bed for a few days. Can we talk? I asked and backed away again, but Giyuu grabbed my legs and pulled me back. That's what we'll do, did you want to do something else? He asked with a smile that masked danger. Giyuu, stop playing games, I know you're upset, I said, trying to appear serious, which made him laugh, but he still didn't say anything. He came closer and buried his face in my neck. His breath made me tremble. I stifled a scream when he bit me, leaving a visible mark, but he didn't stop or settle for just my neck. I know it wasn't your fault you got hurt, but someone else's, and Giyuu, as your new friend, helped you so you wouldn't feel pain when walking, he whispered in my ear. So you're not, I asked excitedly, but my excitement faded. But yes, I am jealous. You said it yourself, Giyuu is my friend, you're my partner, what I feel for you is stronger than just friendship. I muttered angrily and tried to back away, but Giyuu grabbed the hem of my neck and hugged me. I trust you. It doesn't seem so, to be honest. When I see you I tell myself it's just a dream, a cruel fantasy. I don't want it to happen again. I want to see you every day, to have you by my side. If you die again I won't be able to bear it and I'll kill myself. Don't leave me alone, I beg you. That night I only thought about my deceased family, not about the people who were with me and waiting for me. Everyone had lost important people because of a demon, and to my bad luck, I was a demon. Giyuu lost his family because of a demon, became a demon slayer and tried to kill me, but years later he fell in love with me. Shinobu had also lost everything to a demon. She felt a great hatred that grew stronger every day. Her smiles were fake, they hid her pain, but I changed her without knowing it. We went through many things together, making our bond stronger and stronger. Muikaru, who like Giyuu showed no feelings, felt affection for me and named me his first best friend. Giyuu and Sanemi hated me without even knowing me. Knowing I was a demon made them think I was like the others, but as they got to know me, that hatred gradually faded. Sanemi, who had no friends, made me his first, and I still am even though he treats me badly sometimes. It's his way of showing he cares. For Giyuu, I was the second woman he had feelings for. He loves Mitsuri, he wants her to be the woman he's with until he dies. He feels friendship for me. He and the others took revenge on me, and when he learned I was alive, he went to the village with Sanemi and Muikaru because they hoped to find me, and they did. Inosuke tried to kill me, but then he liked me as a friend. Zenitsu, well, he still has feelings for me, but I've made it clear to him many times that I love Giyuu. I promised that this time I'll protect myself better and I won't let them, I promised, and I intertwined my hands around his neck before stealing a kiss which he returned. Kamado-sama, Kamado-sama. We heard Shizu's voice. Giyuu quickly covered my mouth and kissed my neck. After our words, Giyuu pushed me, ending up on top of me, still kissing me. When I think back to the times we've done it, I wonder how I haven't gotten pregnant. Was the problem me or him? I don't know. Mom was young and the times she slept with Dad she got pregnant. 6 children is a big number. I blushed not because I heard Shizu and Jin calling, but because I was afraid they'd find us in this position. The second reason I blushed was the image that flashed through my mind. A dark-haired girl with blue eyes like Giyuu's and a boy. Giyuu, I moaned as quietly as possible so they wouldn't hear us. In a few minutes they would find us, since the first place they would look for me would be my room, and I was in it, just like Giyuu was on top of me making love to me. Let's look in his room. Curse, Giyuu covered my mouth again and stopped. I started sweating as I heard his footsteps approaching. Jin, Shizu, Muikaru called, I need your help with something important. But we must speak with Nezuko-sama. A crow arrived with a message from the master. We haven't read it, but it must be important, said Jin. I also received a message for Tomioka-san. It's about another mission. Nothing is more important than what I'm asking for right now. Leave me a message, I'll look for you later and help if you have a problem. Let's go, Muikaru, I love you. Giyuu, you know I love you, but we have to stop. Maybe you don't care if people see us, but we have to separate. Fine, he grumbled and moved away from me, but we're not finished yet. Do you want to get me pregnant? I asked jokingly. My boyfriend smiled and kissed me again before walking away and putting on his hayori, if he wanted it. I was scared. I wanted to have children, especially if the father was Giyuu, but what if coming back from the dead has prevented me from getting pregnant? I didn't want to say anything or bring it up yet. My mother would have helped me understand it. See you tonight, he said, bidding me farewell and kissing me again before grabbing his katana and leaving me alone. I smiled and touched my lips. He said he was happy to have met me, that I saved him and made him become that innocent and happy child again, but he saved me too. When I became a demon, I felt immense rage. I wanted to scream like those children had and cry like that innocent child before he died. I felt powerless, but then he appeared. Although he tried to kill me and I know his words weren't meant for me, they still helped me. I never cried again and I grew strong. Being weak, I wouldn't be able to help anyone. Finally, she's gone, Muikaru said, entering the room. I don't want to know what you did, but you owe me a plate of takoyaki. Thank you, Muikaru, I smiled and hugged him tightly. You know I like your hugs, but I don't want to die so young. I want to meet a girl, get married, and have children, he said, not moving away from me. Why did you have to meet him first and not me? I asked, pulling him closer. It's not fair. If it hadn't happened, you'd be my wife by now and we'd have children. Muikaru, I'll settle for being your best friend since I was a woman, or rather a girl, 2 years ago, so I'll be an uncle to your children because it won't just be one. How many times have you done that? I asked, you know, to look for a present. What does the boss want? I asked, walking away from my best friend. So that, Muikairo. He already knows about the fight you had with the half-big one. He wants you to tell him the details. And remembering what his sister said, maybe he'll send you to go from town to town again until he finds one like it and finds out more things. I don't doubt it, I murmured, crossing my arms. Do you think you can run? Why the question? Before he left on his mission, he was with you. When the girls called you, neither of you answered or came out, maybe because she started to say but covered her mouth. Shut up, I can walk. He asked. I grunted and pulled my hands away. It's best if you don't say anything, so are you going? Yes, I'll go with the boss. No, I didn't ask you that. I asked if you're going to the town festival. We've already gone once, but you've gone twice, the first time with. Today is the festival, yeah. I'll send a message to Shinobu. Do you want to come with me? Even if you hadn't invited me, I was going to go anyway, or I would have stayed and eaten all the sweets they have stored in the kitchen, or I would have cooked dishes, and keep in mind that I would have made a mess. No. Okay, hey, I have another question for you. Which is it? Since this is a rehabilitation center not only for hunters but also for the townspeople, the food is free for you, Shinobu, and your helpers. Yeah. That's great, he smiled excitedly. I'll tell the vendors I'm your assistant too. I've already used the money. Then what? I didn't buy you anything for your 19th and 20th birthdays. A month has passed and I still didn't give you anything, but now I do have it. You didn't have to do it. Here it is, he said, handing me a package. I smiled excitedly and tried to open it, but he refused. You have to wait until nightfall. But it's 10 o'clock in the morning. You'll only have to wait 8 hours. Sometimes you are. The best friend of all, he smiled. Happy belated birthday, now let's go, I have a mission and you have a little meeting. He spoke before taking my hand and standing up with me. Thank you. Remember, you owe me takoyaki. If you do it like last time, I'll save your ass again, Tomioka. Muikairo. What? I asked without looking at myself. If you're going to say something offensive, you won't be able to make me sad. Well, but is that the mouth you used to kiss that antisocial guy and your mother before? He asked again, this time looking at me. You're cruel. Whenever I want, she smiled and started walking hand in hand with me again. Festival and the question. Jiwayu POV. I let out another snort as I saw new groups of demigods approaching. They wanted to kill us, but not only us, they wanted to kill Nezuko too. We all knew it when they looked at the girls and each of our swords, but Nezuko was at the festival. Damn them, Shinobu whispered angrily. I shook my head and attacked again, just like everyone else. When the pillars came on the mission, Shinobu seemed exasperated. None of us knew why until Muikairo explained it to me. Nezuko had sent her a letter inviting her back to the festival. That holiday has become important to both of them, as the first time they went was 5 years ago, just the two of them. At that time they were both demons and Nezuko took care of her for a whole year. I'm not jealous, not with women who approach me, but maybe a little with men. Just die or disappear quickly. I want to go to the festival, see my friend, and eat free desserts. Muikairo scolded them, then cut off 2 of their heads and stabbed another. Do you think he must be feeling bad about not seeing us? Tanjiro asked fearfully after finishing one off. I forgot to tell him about the last-minute mission. I don't like him coming on so many missions, Sanemi muttered, stabbing the semi that appeared behind him. Don't tell him or he'll get angry. Done, we said and continued the battle. After half an hour we were finally able to finish off the semis. Shinobu didn't wait for one of us to speak and turned her back on us. I was so excited. What? Do you think he's gone? Muikairo asked while eating mochi. In his hand he had dango, which he started eating when he finished the mochi. I still can't believe they gave it to him for free just by telling a lady that he was Nezuko's best friend, that she had healed him a few years ago, and that he was temporarily living at the Lotus Estate. The lady gave her all the desserts she wanted, and Aguro, Sanemi, Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu did the same. Mitsuri laughed at this, as did Shinobu, but only for a while as she looked back to find her. Giyuu, Shinobu, Muikairo called while chewing. What? We asked, but he didn't answer and turned us around. Among a group of younger children was a young woman no more than 20 years old who wore a beautiful sky-blue kimono with colorful flowers and a yellow ribbon on her back. Some children were tugging at her kimono to get her attention, while a little girl pouted and jumped around with her hands outstretched. Nezuko, Nezuko, they called. My girlfriend got down on her knees, causing all the children to jump on top of her and hug parts of her body, arms, neck, and waist, making her smile. We were all speechless when we saw that image. I don't remember seeing those children before at the Lodo Ranch, although I did see them in town. I frowned when I saw a silhouette behind them in the shadows, but it disappeared as quickly as it appeared. I knew it would suit him, Muikairo said, chewing on a new free candy. What? I asked, stunned. Ever since I saw those children treating her with affection, I'd thought about the children we hadn't yet had. I wanted to ask her to marry me again. I didn't want to be separated from her. I wanted to see her every day until my life ended. I longed to have a life with her and create a family. I will always be grateful to her siblings for giving me the opportunity to have our favorite demon back, the one who managed to bring a genuine smile to our faces and made us happy. A few days ago, I saw Sanmi and Nezuko. He was crying and Nezuko was holding him in her arms, giving him her support. I don't know why I'm crying and I don't want to ask. I've never liked getting involved in other people's problems. Nezuko, Kachu called, waving her hand to get her attention. When she saw us, she whispered something to the children. They pouted but walked away, giving her free rein. Shinobu was the quickest of us and hugged her. Ever since Nezuko returned, she has smiled even more than before. I'm so happy to see you again, especially on this holiday, he said without moving away. Nezuko returned the hug and looked at us. Your kimono is very pretty. Did someone give it to you? Mitsuri asked while eating sakura mochi. Muikaru gave it to me just like this. She showed the head accessories. Thank you again, Muikaru. I had to give you something for your past birthdays and this one. If you just say the classic, you don't know how to thank me, that's enough, she said and continued eating. I'm so happy you all came to the festival. Would I sound rude if I asked why it was so late? I asked, hugging Shinobu's waist. The six of us exchanged worried glances, including Tanjiro and his friends. We knew Nezuko wouldn't like the answer she was expecting. We don't need to know her that well to understand her opinions and personality. It was the boss called us to tell us something and we had to go, Mitsuri tried to lie. She and Nezuko weren't as close as she was with Shinobu, but after they got back they started talking. Tanjiro. Hi, did you go on a mission and not call me? Shinobu asked angrily, hugging her tighter when she tried to pull away. I'm a pillar too. And one of the strongest, I tried, but Nezuko looked at me angrily but still turned her back on me. I don't want to waste the night, let's have some fun. Oh yes. I felt like eating, she murmured and started walking, but I grabbed her hand and gave her a tug. What's wrong? I want to talk to you, is that okay or are you still offended? I asked, earning a reproachful look. I shook my head with a smile before starting to walk with myself, passing by the people until we reached the wisteria trees. This brings back so many memories, she smiled and stroked a petal. Why did you bring me back? To ask you something again. What the? But she fell silent when she saw me on my knees. Nezuko Kamado, will you marry me again? Yes, I want to marry you, she said happily. I smiled and put the ring on her finger before kissing her. Pregnant. Muic put me down right now or I swear I'll. I screamed, not caring about the people around us. I had already lost my dignity because of him. Sayonara dignity, hello shame. Sometimes I hate that half-woman. When he came to my side, he killed the demons without saying a word. Memory. Half an hour had passed since I started fighting that demigod. He wasn't strong, but he was elusive and put many enemies in front of him, which he easily killed without even saying a word. When I approached again, I heard someone's voice behind me. I frowned when I saw my first best friend. Without saying anything, he positioned himself in front of me. Muikairo, I can do it myself, I said, but he didn't seem to hear me and drew his katana. Mist breathing, fifth form, sea of clouds and mist, said one of his forms. Every year his attacks become stronger. I watched annoyed as Muikairo quickly finished him off. When there were no more ashes, he sheathed his katana and approached me. Hello. Are you serious, Muikairo? I asked, annoyed, and sheathed my katana. I could have done it myself. Your brothers told us you know how to protect yourself, but sometimes you need protection and that's what I'll do. But I'll also protect them with my life, although keep in mind that many others will. What are you talking about? I asked, confused. Muikairo moved closer to me and grabbed my waist. I have to take you with me or they won't be able to get here, he said, and I got up to lie face down on his shoulder and start walking. End of memories. A few minutes later, he started humming and whistling even though he didn't know how. My friend took everything as it was said, as if he didn't care what people thought. If they weren't close to him, Muikairo considered them strangers and he completely forgot about them, unlike some who claim not to remember but still do. When the low hill came into the village, everyone looked at us. I had to wear pants instead of a skirt, but it wasn't my fault. Unlike years ago, I spent a week searching for high-level demigods without rest. Tanjiro, Shinobu, Giyuu, and my friends wanted to help me, but they couldn't recognize the numbers so easily. As they became hungrier, they were also dangerous. They could die, whereas I wouldn't so easily. 5 years ago, when Muikairo came to the Lotus estate badly injured, Shinobu and I took care of him. But with my ability, I healed him. He once told me that Tanjiro and I reminded him of his family. My brother reminded him of his father because I also had red eyes, but I reminded him of his twin and mother, which made him happy because in all these years he had no memories of his family just like me. Muikairo and I were alike in some ways. He and I lost our parents and brother. I'm 4. We had forgotten all our memories, but we started to regain them and joined together to fight the demons. Muakiro said that when he woke up, the first person he thought of was me. He knew I would help him and he sought me out. To Muakiro, I was a very important person. He wasn't friends with any of the pillars or annihilators. The only people important to him were the master, but he's already dead, Tanjiro, and me, nobody else. I won't let another demon take you from me. I need you more than their hunger. Those were his words the next day when he, along with Sanemi and Aguro, came looking for me. Muakiro was asleep beside me, his hand intertwined with mine. Now back, Muakiro was still walking, and an hour or two had passed. Every step he took made me angrier, and I started hitting him in the back and kicking him, but he didn't care. When I started ordering him to leave me alone, at first he didn't say anything, which made me angry, but then he spoke. I didn't know he came looking for me to save me and my baby, who's starting to grow inside me. Muakiro said I'm exactly 1 month along, but when I asked him how he knew, he put me on his shoulder and walked. What was he hiding from me? I never thought I'd be a mom, but honestly, I'm happy to have Giyuu's child. I want him to look like him, to have the same hair color, the blue eyes he loved so much. His attitude, that's definitely not right. Although a little bit is okay, but Giyuu wasn't always like that. Kanny always smiled at me and looked at my belly with emotion, but she never told me the reason for her gaze and smile. Rengoku, Tsutako, Sabito, and Makomo were the same, and what can I say about my mother? I had to know when she gave me a talk about how my siblings were born, how I had to take care of myself, and what I should or shouldn't eat during pregnancy. That was a long talk. Now I understand everything. Everyone thinks you're crazy. I thought you wanted to keep it a secret, but apparently not. If I'm crazy, you're a lunatic, I growled and started punching him in the back and kicking him in the chest again. That doesn't affect me. Shit. Hey, she called, scolding me and slapping my thigh. Don't say that, I don't want my sweet nephew or niece to learn those words. Rude. Shut your mouth. What great luck we're here. Oops, I don't think we went to the meeting. Was there a meeting? Yes, that boy was going to tell us something. I think he also wanted to talk to you about what you found this week. Then we should turn around and... You're pregnant, you're 1 month along, and you can no longer go on missions or meetings. I can still fight. Do you want my nephew to die? He asked, his tone of voice angry. Of course not. How can you ask me that, Muakiro Takatu? You said my full name, should I be afraid? Yeah, fine, I won't have it. Muichiro. We're here, I announced, entering the Lotus Estate. I didn't have to be smart to know that everyone was looking at us confused, since they had never seen Muakiro carrying someone, especially if that person was me. Sometimes I hated Muakiro. Let's eat, I hate you, you know that, right? I asked, lifting my head slightly. Muakiro smiled and ruffled my hair. Nope, you love me and that will always be the case, she said and started walking again. Do you think they cooked takoyaki? I want to eat takoyaki. Put me down. No, he denied again. What shape is that cloud? He asked, looking at the sky. It looks like Tomioka's horrible face. Hey, I'm sorry, baby, I didn't mean to offend your father, he said apologetically. When will you put me down? If it were up to me, never. Do you want to leave us again? It wasn't my intention. I know, I just wanted to see your face of regret, she said, patting me so hard I blushed. Takoyaki, I want takoyaki. I won't give up until I've eaten one. The nose. When will you tell him? Shinobu asked. When Muakiro laid me down on the bed, he wouldn't let me get up. He sat beside me and put a hand on my shoulder. You're not getting up from here, he said. I don't want to lie down. You're pregnant and you need to rest, just like those babies growing inside you. I just hope they're not like Tomioka. For better or worse, Shinobu, who was passing through the corridors looking for Tanjiro, apparently they had become a couple at the festival and she was very happy, heard us, entered the room and saw us arguing and also struggling. I was trying to get up and Muakiro was holding me down with his hands on my shoulders, keeping me lying down and my flat stomach flat. He's on a mission, I don't know when he'll be back, I replied and tried to get up, but Muakiro and Shinobu laid me down. Please. You need to rest, I don't think you should go on missions anymore. I'm only 2 months old, I can still fight without problems. Then she'll need to be accompanied, a hard fall could hurt her, my sister said worriedly. All right. I'll talk to the boss, Muakiro said before lying down next to me. I want to accompany you on your missions. Me too. Okay, then the people who will accompany you will be me, Kachu. Tomioka might also like to come, maybe Sane. Were they talking about me? My friend asked. He was standing in the doorway with his arms crossed. It's just a hypothesis, Muakiro replied without getting up. What were they talking about? My sister can no longer go on missions alone. She'll have to be accompanied now that she's 2 months pregnant with Tomioka's child. Sanemi stared at us, speechless, seemingly in shock. It's a joke. Nope, my sister is going to be a mom, so Shinobu and I will be uncles and aunts. I want to be an uncle too, he said, entering the room. Can I be one? He asked, clasping his hands together. I'll be the best and most fun uncle ever. Of course, I smiled and touched my belly. I still couldn't believe it. I was so excited. Can I get up? I asked, but they shook their heads. I'm hungry. Okay, Shinobu said, helping me up. You need to eat well so my nephew or niece will be born strong and healthy. Great, I'm starving. I didn't have breakfast. What do you mean you didn't eat? She said, annoyed. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and now that you're pregnant, it will be even more important, just like all your other meals. Shinobu scolded me again. I'm sorry. Oh, good. When we got to the kitchen, Sanmi ordered food for the four of us, but mostly for me. The girls didn't understand at first, but Muikaru explained the situation to them. Eiko, Jin, and Shizu were excited and gave us what we liked without hesitation. After eating, Muikaru left but said he would return. He said he would talk to the boss about my missions and that I wouldn't be able to go anymore once I completed 3 months. 2 hours have already passed. Nezuko, Muikaru called, entering through the gate. Shinobu and Sanmi were holding my hand. I almost slipped and fell on my bottom. Sanmi, who was faster, caught me from behind, and now both of them were holding me up. It was tiring but fun at the same time. I looked up and saw my brother enter through the gate, along with Mitsuri and Aguro. When Mitsuri saw me, she smiled and ran towards me with open arms. I can't believe it, you're going to be a mom, you'll look beautiful and your son or daughter will be just like you, she chuckled. That Tomioka doesn't wait, he saw you again and he's already got you pregnant, Aguro said, looking at my flat stomach. How are you feeling? He didn't eat this morning, Sanmi said. What do you mean you didn't eat? Mitsuri asked, alarmed. Now that you're pregnant, food is very important. You're not just eating for yourself, but for your baby too. Yes, Shinobu already scolded me. Of course I would be, she said, annoyed. I want you to be okay just like my nephew. Or nephews, Aguro added, making me blush. I'm not going to ask how many times you did it, but I do know that I miss you a lot. It's never been seen before in the Demon Slayer Corps that 2 pillars have a child. You and Tomioka are both strong pillars, but on top of that you're half demon and half human, Muikaru said, touching my stomach with a smile on his lips. Do you think? I asked fearfully, the 5 of them looking at each other uneasily. What if someone tries to take it from me? Leave that to us. We'll kill anyone who tries it so they understand that nobody messes with my nephew, Sanmi smiled, bumping his fists together. If she's half demon, maybe she only has the blood half, and I'm not talking about the demon half, Shinobu added. I didn't want my son to be a demon. What if he suffered the same thing I suffered at the beginning? The Annihilator, of course not, and I know Giyuu would agree. But look who's here, Aguro murmured. We all turned around and saw Giyuu. He frowned. What's happening? So you missed her so much that you got her pregnant. Good for you, Tomioka, because you're going to be a father, but don't worry, she's only 2 months along, Aguro smiled from under his handkerchief. Isn't the honeymoon after the wedding? Muikaru asked, giving him a friendly punch on the shoulder. What is Nezuko talking about? Giyuu asked, looking at me, searching for an answer. Great, but he posted it, Sanmi said again, now pointing at my brother Inosuke and Zenitsu. Just say it, Shinobu and Mitsuri whispered, and they gave me a push, bringing me closer to my boyfriend. It's not that easy. Giyuu, I am pregnant, and I didn't know it until Muikaru found me and brought me back on his shoulder. I didn't understand why he did it. He told me. I was sorry, but if something happened, my nephews might not arrive, just like a year ago, Muikaru interrupted. After a mission, I stayed at an inn. When I opened my eyes, Kamado's siblings, Kani and Rengoku, appeared in my mind. They seemed very worried. Kani was the one who... She told me to find Nezuko or her babies might die. When Nezuko died 2 years ago, she was 2 months pregnant and didn't know it, so my friend didn't die alone. At that moment, I woke up, sheathed my katana, and ran to where Nezuko was. That's why I brought her here. You were 2 months old. Shinobu and Mitsuri shrieked, their hands covering their mouths. I didn't know. If I had known, I wouldn't have. It can't be. They felt the same pain I did that night, I whispered, covering my face and starting to cry. Calm down, sister, don't cry, Tanjiro tried to comfort me, hugging me. No, I can't forgive myself. I did. I'm the worst. I don't deserve to be a mother. I cried and fell to my knees, crying even harder when I felt many arms surround me. He didn't want to lift his head. I'm truly sorry. I was very unfair. You were still developing. If I had known, I wouldn't have fought. Sorry. Don't say that. You didn't know, Shinobu said, stroking my hair. You'll be a great mother, you'll see, Sanmi tried to encourage me. Sister, I'm crying too, Tanjiro. I'm sorry I wasn't with you both that night. I'm sorry, Giyuu whispered, also crying. Everyone was crying just like me. Aguro was sad but trying not to cry. No, I cried louder. Muikaru touched my cheeks, made me lift my face and wiped away my tears. I hope this cheers you up. Those babies, because there are 2, who died with you, and these babies growing inside you are the same ones. Your whole family, Kani, Sabito, Makomo, the boss, and everyone who was with you gave you this gift. Really? Yes, she smiled and touched my belly, those two babies that are forming again inside you. It's a boy and a girl, so start thinking of names. They're twins, my sister Mitsuri and Tanjiro said happily. Giyuu cupped my cheeks and kissed me with a smile on his lips. Giyuu, we're having a boy and a girl, I said excitedly. Giyuu's smile widened and he began kissing my entire face. Thank you for the opportunity to be a father. My children. She is my salvation. Where have you been all these years? I asked gently, stroking him until he purred. It's funny that you're the son of Tamyo's demigod cat and a human cat. Your father doesn't waste any time. I smiled, getting the cat to touch my belly over my kimono. Can demonic pets also die in the sun? Meow. Nezuko-san, Shizu and Jin called. I looked up and saw my assistants and friends. They seemed worried. What's happening? The pillars have come to the farm, but they are badly injured. Before I could say another word, I was already running, ignoring his calls and scoldings. My babies were more important, but so were they. I covered my mouth when I saw my friends. Sanemi, Muikaru, Iguro, and Mitsuri were lying by the gate, exhausted and bruised. Tanjiro had Shinobu unconscious on his back. Inosuke was standing but fell under Zenitsu's weight. Giyuu was also standing but unsteady on his feet. What happened to you? I shouted, calling their attention. Don't scream, Shinobu moaned, covering her ears. Nezuko, Shizu and Jin called to me. You shouldn't run while you're pregnant. That doesn't matter, have rooms ready for them. We're fine, they said in unison, their eyes on the floor. I groaned and put my hands on my hips. I don't care about your words. You're not leaving this place until you're safe. If you want to leave, you'll have to ignore me, but let me make it clear that none of you are going anywhere. I'm pregnant, but I can beat you worse than the ones those semis gave you, I threatened. Do you understand? I said angrily. Everyone looked at me with fear. Now walk and follow Yushiro, but first take a bath. I'm not taking a bath. You can't order me around. I'm your friend, not your subordinate. Sanemi retorted, crossing his arms. You have blood on your face and chest. Don't come at me with your words and nonsense, Shinazugawa. I scolded him. Stop, I can walk by myself, he said when I started pushing him. To fight, yes, but when you need it, no. What's wrong, sister? Tanjiro asked, as scared as my other friends and Shinobu. Giyuu was speechless. Seeing them like this makes me feel bad. Don't feel bad, it's bad when you're pregnant. Then don't worry me, haven't you seen each other? I pointed. Seeing you like this scares and worries me because I love you both very much and I don't want anything to happen to you. I will keep my promises. What promises? My partner asked, but I didn't answer. You'd better walk before she scolds you again. She's more emotional now that she's pregnant, Yushiro advised. He'd been watching us, amused ever since I started talking and how surprised and scared they were. I've never acted like this before, but I'm really worried. I think Yushiro is right, I'm hungry. I'll talk to them later, but right now I want to eat. Will there be food or will I have to make it myself? Giyuu POV. What are their promises? Why did they say it in the plural? I almost died from that demon's blow. Tanjiro helped me again like in the battle. His words were clear. I don't want my nephews to be born without a father and see my sister cry. I never imagined being a father. I thought I would live alone, not know anyone and die, but I didn't want it to be because of demons. I would have preferred to die alone. My world was gray, each day grew darker. I wasn't happy they took away my last hope, but Nezuko was my salvation. I thought you were asleep, my girlfriend said softly beside me. I smiled at her flat stomach. I was a little, actually very excited, but I was also scared. What if he wasn't a good father? I admit I have a bad attitude, but I don't want my two children to have to put up with my bad mood. I wanted to be a good father, but what if I can't? Giyuu, Nezuko shouted, shaking me. I'm sorry, I was thinking about never mind. How are you feeling? I asked, touching her belly. The three of us are fine, but you don't seem to be. I feel better. Maybe your self-esteem and pride, but that bump on your head and that wound you have, no. I pointed to my body. I don't want our children to be born without a father, I whispered, almost lowering my voice. It won't happen, I'll be with you, I promise, I said. Nezuko smiled excitedly and jumped on top of me. Sometimes she acted like a child, but I liked it when she did. It reminded me of our early years together. The time in winter when I cried and she hugged me. When she made me onigiri and still does. That night when she woke me up to give me food because I hadn't eaten dinner and a blanket because she knew I was cold. The time she nursed me back to health when I was sick, and all the other moments we shared. At all those times she was still a minor and a demon, but I didn't care and I began to love her. That little devil with beautiful pink eyes managed to make me happy again without even realizing it. Giyuu. Yes, I replied while giving her caresses that made her smile and hug me tighter. What names will we give our children? Have you thought of one yet? Only the child's. Let me guess, Sabito. Doesn't it bother you? I asked. Ever since I found out two of our children were boys, Sabito had popped into my head. I didn't know the name of the girl yet. Sutako seemed like a good name, but I couldn't be the only one to name our children. I knew that Nezuko had already thought of many things. No. Do you have a name in mind? I asked. Nezuko blushed and lowered her head. I thought of the name Komi for our daughters. Komi, it means to smile. When I thought of it, I also thought of you and your smiles. It's perfect. Sabito and Komi Tomioka sounds good, right? Yeah. I want it to look like you, the color of your hair, eyes, well, everything. And you, a child just like you. I can't wait to hold them in my arms. I don't think I can wait 7 months, it's a long time, she moaned, touching her belly. Giyuu, what if one of them is a demon like me? She asked, worried. I bit my lip a little hard and touched her belly. I wouldn't care at all. I'll protect her or him. I won't let anyone happen to them, and to you too, I said firmly. I'm afraid. About what? What if someone takes them away from us? He asked sadly. I don't want that to happen. I don't want it to be a demon. I don't want any of them to go through what I went through in my early years. I don't want that, Giyuu. He began to cry. Don't cry, I pleaded, touching her cheeks. Please don't. But Giyuu, I don't want him or her, she said, sobbing uncontrollably. He wiped her tears before kissing her, calming her sobs a little. When she cried, my heart ached. I always wanted to see her calm and smiling the way I like her, although I also find it endearing and amusing when she's angry. It makes me feel tender. Angels don't cry, and she is an angel. Nezuko is my angel in this dark and gray world as I always saw it, but she filled it with colors. Nezuko Kamado is my salvation. Kyoko sudden deaths. We were defeated again. High-level demigods can not only merge, but now they also possess abilities. Nezuko tried to warn us, but we ignored her. I knew she'd get worried again, and this time she'd hit us for not listening. Now I understand why the demons were happy 2 years ago and grew stronger than before. The only person who could easily defeat them, who knew all their strengths and weaknesses, had died, and we pillars didn't know that much. Even though Nezuko trained us, we were still beginners. Now that Nezuko had returned, they wanted to kill her to regain the peace they had enjoyed for several months. Memory. I need to ask you something before I tell you. Have your last battles been near the village where Nezuko Kamado lives? Yes, on the night of the party, all the pillars had to go into a forest near the village. There was a large group of semis and more kept appearing. Did they pay more attention to the girls? Yes, just like their katanas. We're not stupid. We know they were looking for my girlfriend, but she was at the party waiting for us. I know you asked her to go on that mission, but we all thought it would be better if she didn't. It was good that they did it. Now that you've answered, my assumptions are correct. The demigods are looking for Nezuko Kamado to kill her because she's the only one they fear. If the demigods discover she's pregnant and that one of the children might be a demon, I have 2 ideas. The first is that they'll take the demon child. The second is that they'll kill her and the babies, preventing them from being born. End of memory. After those words, the door opened. Shinobu had opened it, and with her were Tanjiro, Sanemi, Muikaru, and Aguro. They had overheard the conversation and apparently didn't like it. The boy said that a group of demigods had hidden in the forest near the village but hadn't killed anyone. If that had happened, we would know. We didn't have to be clever to understand why no one had been killed. If one of us did, the rumor would spread to everyone's ears since it's a small town and Nezuko was in that circle. Mitsuri, along with Inosuke and Zenitsu, accompanied us on the mission. We didn't want Nezuko to know that the mission was about her. There were a large number of demigods in the forest, and one of them had a non-lethal but helpful ability. The semi could paralyze anyone who tried to approach or kill him. When he paralyzed us, he threw us far away, also causing us to lose consciousness. Before I closed my eyes, we heard someone's voice. I slowly opened my eyes and looked around. I was in a room but not alone. Next to me were Shinobu and Tanjiro lying on a bed, their hands clasped together. How familiar. Raise my hands, now bandaged from the elbow to the palm of my hand. Apparently we were alive. If I were dead, Tsutako would be by my side, not Kachu, much less that guy who flirted with my girlfriend several times. Boarhead, Sanemi, Aguro, and Muikaru plus Mitsuri. The only answer as to why we were alive was that someone had saved us and taken us to the Lotus Ranch, the only place that accepted sick people and was a kind of hospital. Why did Nezuko want it to be a help center for hunters and villagers? I closed my eyes again, but some blows to my head made me open them again. I huffed when I saw that demon who had become Nezuko's subordinate. Let me rest. Wake up, Tomioka. As I already am. Yushiro grimaced and walked away from me to go to the others and wake them up. Shinobu, opening her eyes, sat up and leaned her head on Tanjiro's shoulder. Now that they're a couple, Tanjiro is the only one she loves. I'm fine with that, I don't mind at all. Although now that she's with Tanjiro, she's become more well, not quite as much as she used to. The Kamado brothers can change people's attitudes. What time is it? Muikaru asked, yawning. It's 5 in the afternoon, in a few minutes it will be 6. They slept for 8 hours. Those demigods really beat him badly, he smiled as he removed the handkerchief from Takatu's head. We all looked at him angrily. If we hadn't saved him, they would be dead. Your children would be without a father. That won't happen. Did you save us? Mitsuri asked as she drank from the glass Yushiro handed her. I only helped. Nezuko did all the work and didn't have to use the sword or make any moves. Nezuko what? The 9 of us asked in surprise. Yes, Nezuko used the temporary balls that the demon used against us years ago. She decapitated the low-level ones with a single blow to the head and shot anyone who tried to run in the leg. One of them tried to kick the ball, but when he did, he lost a leg. How did Nezuko keep those temaris? Tanjiro asked. That demon disappeared along with them. Nezuko has her secrets. And how did you help? Sanemi asked. Use Nezuko's katana and finish the job. It's been a long time since I fought, she murmured as she gathered some things and put them in a basket. You should have seen them. When they found out she was sudden death, they started trembling like leaves. None of them dared approach her and they ran, but Nezuko wouldn't let them. Are you all that afraid of her? Muikaru asked. My friend is a caring and calm girl except when she gets angry, but... Yes, but when she went on missions, that affection and tranquility vanished. They began to fear her because she was the first to defeat a monster. For 3 days, she went from village to village, easily killing every demigod and monster she encountered without any special techniques. Then they feared her even more when she developed new techniques. I don't remember exactly why they called her sudden death, but it must have been for something serious. So that's why the boss's son wanted her back, Iguro murmured. Oh, I remember now. The demigods named her that out of fear that Nezuko would appear to them, because if they killed a human they knew that she would come and kill them quickly or slowly, and also make them feel pain if she was angry or if they killed many people. I didn't know that side of my sister, Tanjiro whispered. Who is that girl? Iguro asked. We all turned around and looked in the direction he was staring. I don't remember seeing her before. Maybe she came 2 years ago, but it's been several months since I've been here and I've never seen her. Her name is Kyoko, she's 9 years old, Yushiro replied. This is the first time I've seen her, Shinobu said, her eyes sparkling. It had to be accepted, the girl was beautiful. Anyone who saw her would think she was an angel. Her hair was long and golden, her eyes were pink but different from Nezuko's, though her pale skin was the same. The blush on her cheeks made her look adorable. She wore a pink kimono with a white dress over it, and in her hands she carried a jar of cherry blossoms. We told him to rest, Yushiro muttered to himself. Didn't Nezuko tell him? What does Nezuko have to do with? What did you say her name was? Sanemi asked, still staring at her. To sum it up in a few words, Nezuko adopted her 7 hours ago. Nezuko what? I asked, speechless, and looked back at the courtyard, but she was gone. Yes, the 2 of us went to town to buy food because someone ate it all. That someone was Zenitsu and Inosuke, but don't worry, they won't be stealing food again thanks to the beating Nezuko gave them when she found them in the kitchen. He smiled amusedly. Good. The girl's parents mistreated her. She had to go to the village to find food. Because she was always dirty, they didn't want her even though they were the ones to blame. Her hair was longer and you couldn't see the color of her eyes. When Nezuko saw them, she got very angry. I tried to calm her down, but she got angrier every second because of what the adults were saying. I don't know what they said, but it made Nezuko furious, and in a second, she was standing between the girl and the parents. It was explosive. What do you mean by bomb? I asked, touching my forehead. It hurt too. To sum it up, that pair of idiots ran away. The man had a black eye and the woman was shaking like a leaf. Nezuko held back from yelling at them, but she didn't hold back with the man, she kicked him. Did he just hold back to avoid screaming? Shinobu asked, arms crossed. Yushiro smiled. After that, Nezuko took the baby away and I had to do the shopping alone. We're all lucky here because we don't have to pay for some things. Yes, Muikairo smiled, licking his lips. When I arrived, I saw Nezuko with the baby girl. She was on Nezuko's lap eating an onigiri. Kyoko is the name Nezuko gave her. She didn't seem to have a name of her own. So Kyoko is Nezuko's adopted daughter? Mitsuri asked, confused. After eating the rice, Kyoko herself asked her to be her mother. Wow, Tomioka, it seems you're already an early father. You have a lovely daughter, Sanemi said, smiling mockingly at me. Kyoko is our adopted daughter, but Sabito and Komi haven't even been born yet. I didn't know anything about babies, much less children. Although now that I think about it, Kyoko could help me improve. She is very thin. I thought they would never wake up, said Nezuko, entering the room. Kyoko was hiding behind Nezuko. When she saw them, she blushed and lowered her head. That was sweet. This is Kyoko, my adopted daughter, so to speak. She's 9 years old. She's very shy. Come on, say hello. Hello, I greeted, still hidden behind Nezuko. Oh, how cute. Shinobu and Mitsuri smiled. I'll introduce you. This is Tanjiro, my older brother, so he's your uncle. Shinobu is my best friend and sister, but since she's Tanjiro's girlfriend, she's also your aunt. Giyuu is my boyfriend if your dad approves. Muikairo, Sanemi, Iguro, Mitsuri, Inosuke, and Zenitsu are my friends. That damn die job. Now I think they deserve a few blows. No, yes, I warned them what would happen if they left while injured. I understand they went to headquarters for the meeting, but fighting, no way. Last night I buried myself under the semis hiding in the woods. I was the one who told them. It's true I can still fight, but I couldn't let them know I'm pregnant. I'm afraid of what might happen to them, she whispered, touching her belly. Why didn't you tell us? I asked, annoyed. I found out last night they were asleep and injured. They needed to rest. All I could do at that moment was hold them back. Mom, Kyoko called, tugging at her kimono. What's wrong? I asked, kneeling down. It's okay, you missed your lunch break too. Are you hungry? We all nodded, making her smile. Okay, get up and let's go to the dining room. Lunch is ready, I said, picking up Kyoko and making her smile. Nezuko, Tanjiro called while eating next to Shinobu, how do you know how to differentiate the levels of the demigods? Is it because of your demonic side? Yes and no. Why are you asking me that, Oni-san? Tanjiro looked at us doubtfully. We all nodded. You've defeated every semi-human you've faced. Just a few hours ago, you managed to make them they're afraid of you, and they named you. Sudden death, he interrupted. You are strong, that's why you used that demigod skillfully. You knew that when you were alone, it didn't matter if others joined you. It hurts to say it, but if we continue, they will kill us, Sanemi interjected. That's why we want you to train us again, I said, stopping eating. Please. 7 months. A lot has happened in 7 months. Being pregnant is exhausting and boring, but also beautiful. The company of my loved ones helped to entertain me, but also annoyed me to the point of becoming irritating. 3rd month. Finally, the 3rd month had arrived. On one hand, I was excited because I had reached my 3rd month, but on the other, I was upset about not being able to go out. Everyone I call family prevented me from going anywhere other than the Lodo Ranch. That day, Giyuu, Tanjiro, Shinobu, Mukairu, Sanemi, Aguro, Yushiro, Jin, Shizu, Eiko, and Zuko stood in front of the door and gave me a lecture that lasted an hour. After I left, none of them approached me again because they knew I was angry, and how could I not be? My anger continued, but after 3 days, Giyuu was the first to speak to me. It's memory. Nezuko, he called, knocking on the door which I had locked. He knew this when he tried to open it, but it was difficult. You've been locked up for 3 days. You know it's not good for you or them. What? We're fine. I don't need another sermon. You're not. Please open up. Are you still upset about what we said? She asked. I bit my lower lip hard enough to draw blood. Of course she's angry. Just because she's pregnant doesn't mean she has to be locked up forever. I can go out. If you know, why are you asking? I'm going to slam the door on the count of 10, he warned me. 1. I smiled when I heard it. Zovde. I grabbed a pillow and hid my face. 3. I couldn't stand it. I started laughing. 4. 5. He interrupted his countdown, holding back laughter. 7. Where did you leave the 6? Don't you know your numbers? 8. I hid my face again, trying to stifle my laughter. That was enough. I didn't want him to slam the door. When he warns you about something, it's because he's going to do it. 9. Okay, I won't try to laugh anymore. D. 10. I interrupted him again and opened the door, coming face to face with him, my cute Giyuu, antisocial not so much anymore, but he still is. Apparently he doesn't know how to start a conversation, only how to end it, cold to the bone, but loving with a bit of a pervert when we were alone and I wasn't pregnant like now, although he still is. Those were the 2 ways he was with people and with me. Are you still angry? Yes. Just because she's pregnant and 3 months along doesn't mean she should be locked up like a criminal. You're not. Then let me out, I yelled, turning my back on him and walking back to the bed. I sat down facing away from him and bit my lip as I felt him behind me. He wasn't going to let me. We care about you, understand that. And you all need to understand that I'm not an animal to be locked up. Even dogs and cats can go outside. Why can't I asked, wanting to cry but holding it back. Giyuu stood up, turned around, and positioned himself in front of me. Don't be sad. Don't be angry with me, she pleaded, touching my cheeks, which were wet not from anger but from laughter. Please understand us. And you to me, what happens if a demon tries to kill you and I'm not there to protect you? Being here, you have people who will take care of you. I can take care of myself. I'm not going to die. I want to have my children and be with you. I made that promise to myself. If you die, I will die too. Let's not talk about death. I lived through that for 2 months. I murmured and lowered my head, but Giyuu made me look at him, gave me a warm smile and kissed my lips. I love you. No, you're not going to. I'm not going to. I'm upset, I tried, but Giyuu didn't pull away and bit my lip. I had bitten it back, not accepting his kiss, but his bite made me open my lips for a second he used to enter me, giving me a French kiss. And, I hate you. No, you love me, she smiled and took possession of my mouth again. End of memory. 4th month. Nezuko Kyoko called, lying next to me while she was happily eating a taiyaki. Zand, are you going to be a mom or did you eat too much? I asked, pointing to my 4-month pregnant belly. Yes, I eat a lot and yes, I'll be a mom too, I replied and started eating with her. Will I have siblings? Will they look like dad or you? Don't know. The mommy. Zand? How are babies made? She asked innocently. I started coughing at her last question. I couldn't answer her. I was still a child. Giyuu would do that. Well. Today I saw my uncle and aunt kissing. My uncle had her against the wall like this. He seemed to be eating her and carrying her too. Her feet were here and my aunt was hugging him. She pointed to herself. What were they doing? What's her name? Is this how babies are made? Will I have more siblings? Why was my uncle eating my aunt? I covered my flushed face and shook my head. I swear I'll punch you when I see you. Do your things in your rooms. You have plenty of space. 5th month. I blushed involuntarily when I saw him next to me, caressing me and his face. I had never seen him act like this before. Just a few minutes ago, I was sitting enjoying the sun and the breeze that heralded the beginning of autumn, the second season of the year that Giyuu liked. Can I sit down? Of course, I smiled and made room for him to sit next to me, which he did, but he also touched my belly with a smile that kept changing until he wasn't just touching it anymore. He was caressing it and smiling like a fool. He was so sweet and maternal, but I'm not his mother. There are only 3 months left until I turn 9 and can hold Sabito and Komi in my arms. 6th month. What? I yelled. At that moment, I felt 4 emotions. Amusement, excitement, anger. I don't know why, since what happened was beautiful and the 4th I've already forgotten. I'm so happy I'm going to be an aunt. How many months along are you? Just 1, Shinobu smiled, caressing her flat stomach. I'm so excited I think I screamed when she told me. The first thing I did was run to Tanjiro and tell him. He almost fainted, but he gave me a kiss and hugged me. Hey, was Tanjiro gentle? Do you really want me to tell you? She asked playfully, continuing to caress her flat stomach. She didn't need to read her mind to know what she was thinking. I was excited. Let me tell you something funny about Tanjiro and how Shidru and Hanako acted. Even though I didn't hear their conversation, I found it amusing. What happened? Well, I was with Rokuta at that moment, but I saw Shidru and Hanako run up to Mom, Hanako with tears in her eyes and Shidru with a scared face. When they got in front, they pulled Mom's Hayori and said, Mom, Tanjiro wants to marry a dog. A dog? It's because when they asked him, he didn't know what to say, so he said the first thing that came to mind. Similar to Ahisha with I don't remember what it was about his hair, but years later when I asked him, he said that you. Really a dog? Well, I told 11 that I wanted to marry someone like Ahisha, who is a chess piece. If you wanted to marry a chess piece and my boyfriend wanted to marry a dog, who would be the thing or person your brothers wanted you to marry? It's better you don't know. It's worse than what Tanjiro and I said as kids. Do you think your baby will be a boy or a girl? I don't know, it'll be a surprise, she smiled. I'm hungry. Do you want to join me? Yeah. If I am hungry, what must my sister be like? 7th month. Ah, pervert, help Mom, Dad, Kyoko shouted, moving as far away from Zenitsu as possible. Huh, I just asked if there was food. Don't get upset. What do you think you're doing to my daughter, you idiot? Giyuu asked, entering the kitchen with his katana in hand. Keep your hands off Kyoko. I slipped, I swear, he tried to defend himself, but Kyoko's second plea to her father ruined it. Try not to get close to men like that, and especially not to him, Giyuu advised Kyoko, whom he held in his arms after the beating he'd given the lightning pillar. He likes every girl he sees, even children, he finished, speaking ill of the pillar while stroking the blonde hair of our adopted daughter. Yes, he agreed with a smile. Giyuu returned his smile and they left the kitchen, leaving the lightning pillar on the floor, blood trickling from his nose and mouth. Zenitsu had to stay in bed for 5 days thanks to the blows and water forms he used against him. 8th month. Why are you distancing yourself from me? Have you forgotten the punch you gave me when I talked about Sabito and Kiyomi? I'm pregnant, I have mood swings. I'll go closer, but first I need my sword. Where did I leave it? He murmured, starting to search for it. Why are you looking for? Defend myself. I don't want to have injuries that last for weeks. There are only 2 more months until your 9 months are up. I found her, she said, grabbing her sword before sitting down. Fine, you can be angry now. I don't know whether to love or hate this man. Present. Giyuu, I called weakly. What's wrong? Do you need anything? Are the pains back? Do you want to lie down? I asked quickly, touching my swollen belly. You're very tense. Giyuu, I stuttered nervously, unable to hold back for another minute. Yes. I asked, smiling. When we're alone, he always smiles and caresses my belly. I love her smile. They're about to be born. After those words, Giyuu fainted in front of me. How strong and brave you are, Tomioka-san. Jin Shizu, someone help me. I pleaded, clutching my stomach in pain. I slumped against the wall and saw Giyuu still on the ground. You said you'd always be there for me when I needed you. Nezuko, what's wrong? Muikaru asked, frightened. They're about to be born. I'm going to have. Again. I made a fist when I saw my friend brother passed out on the floor between the door. Nezuko Sanmi called, appearing in the doorway. He was about to take a step, but then noticed the body of his companion, now friend. What happened to those two? If you faint, I swear I'll hit you, I threatened. Komi and Sa are about to be born, but I didn't finish because Sanmi came over and picked me up, carrying me out of the room. I don't weigh much, being pregnant I must weigh more, but Sanmi didn't seem to care. Stop what you're doing and help me, I ordered the helpers. Nezuko's about to give birth. Your boyfriend and friend is quite the character, huh? I'm not going to say anything. Sanmi, it hurts, I moaned and closed my eyes tightly. If I ask you to calm down, you're going to hit me worse than your idiot boyfriend did, judging by how weak he seemed. First time. Do you mean you'll have more? No. But in our family there are always 6 children. That's what your brothers told Giyuu, that there should be 6 children since that's how it's been for generations in the Kamado family. Perhaps it's my imagination, but after his words I heard some very familiar giggles. I can't hate them, I love them. A chance at life. Shinobu Pav. Are you pregnant too? I asked desperately, looking at my 4-month belly. What's with that tone of voice? I asked, annoyed, making him tremble. Whether I'm pregnant or not is none of your business, it's mine, and just so you know I'm happy and we both decided this, Tanjiro. That's not it, don't misunderstand me, Miss Kachu, but you and Nezuko are strong hunters, and we needed you right now. My sister and I are going to be mothers, and she's also started training us pillars again as well as the other hunters. They'll be fine. And you don't know how grateful I am to Mrs. Kamado for helping us. I only came here to tell you about my pregnancy and that I won't be able to go on missions anymore. My sister and I don't know when we'll be able to rejoin the group. We want to be well for our children and take care of them at all times. Tomioka and Kamado, they will continue. What a relief I'm not saying that we. Sayonara, I just came to let you know. Now I'm leaving, my partner is waiting for me, I said before getting up and leaving. Okay, now I can relax. Don't worry, baby, mommy will be with you at all times. I made fists when I saw Chiaki talking to Tanjiro. He was standing with his arms crossed and shaking his head. A kiss might help. I said, no, Chiaki, our story is over. I'm happily with Shinobu now, don't you understand? No, why are you with her? What does she have that I don't? Many things, I don't mean to be rude, but I don't want you near Shinobu, don't bother her. I hate her. Just accept it, Chiaki, we're nothing anymore. I love Shinobu, she's my girlfriend and the mother of my child, I won't turn my back on her. Tanjiro. She was the reason I broke up with you, but now I want her too. No, don't get me wrong, I was the one who broke up with you. Chiaki growled and extended his hand towards him, not to try to hit him but to get away from my boyfriend, you bitch. I warned, stepping between them. I don't want you anywhere near Tanjiro, their story is over, period. You look lovely with your pregnancy, but let me remind you of something, little butterfly, she smiled falsely. I was here before you, she pointed to herself. Don't let stereotypes get to you, I was the first to kiss him and be with him. It's okay, love, we're leaving now, Tanjiro said, hugging me. One last time, Chiaki, don't mess with Shinobu, time to go. Yes, I'm feeling unwell. Let's go, she smiled and took my hand, starting to walk away from that damned woman. Why didn't I bring my sword? Kochoukamo. The girls shouted, running towards us, they seemed to be out of breath. We're sorry, we already, Tanjiro began but was interrupted by one of the girls. They must go to the Lotus Farm. Did something bad happen to my sister? Is she okay? Are they my nephews? I asked nervously. If it's Tomioka, I don't care. This letter is from Sanmi Shinazugawa. He says that Nezuko is already giving birth, her nephews are about to be born and… My sister is already, Tanjiro whispered, his mouth agape. We have to go, Shinobu, and get there as fast as possible. I can't run, much less fly. Let's go to the train station, she smiled and started walking. What do you think they'll be like? Will they look more like Tomioka or Nezuko? She began to ask without letting go of my hand. I still hate Tomioka-san, but if someone resembles him, I'll love them. They're my first nephews, but I'll love our son more. I smiled and hugged his arm. Ever since I found out my sister was pregnant, I started going every day. When I saw her one day under the sun with Giyuu by her side, caressing her belly, I thought of myself and Tanjiro. In this culture, to have a child you first have to get married. Tanjiro is my partner and we haven't gotten married yet. We've been dating for 7 months, but for me it's more than that. I'd never had a partner before. Even with a smile, I didn't seem to convey positive emotions, and though I talked to people, I preferred not to do so often. I'm not like Tomioka-san, he and I are different. No one had ever understood that my smile, however happy it seemed, hid pain, but he knew it and knew that something was wrong with me. That night, all the weight I'd carried for years felt lighter. Tanjiro had such a pure heart that it startled me. The only person I knew with such a pure heart who radiated warmth was Kani. Tanjiro makes me feel loved and that I am enough. Nezuko makes me feel similarly. She was with me in my difficult moments. She saved me several times. The Kamado brothers were unique. I remember the night I told him what I was thinking and that later on I would like a child. Tanjiro remained silent. I was scared at that moment, but all my worries disappeared when he kissed me. From the beginning of our relationship, we didn't focus on that. We came together because we loved each other, not to have sex. The time we spent together was enough, but that night was unique. Tanjiro treated me like a princess and never stopped kissing me. He knew I was still a virgin, so he was gentle with me. I had never felt anything like it in my life. After that, we started doing it sometimes, and we were no longer innocent like we were that night. My fantasy came true. I was going to be a mother, and Tanjiro was going to be the father. But it wasn't just my fantasy, it was my sister's dream. I want you to live a normal life, fall in love, get married, and grow old. Oni-san, it seemed impossible for me to fulfill your last request. I thought I would die without ever having fallen in love or become a mother, but there were two people who made it possible for me to fulfill your request. Nezuko gave me back the smile I had lost. She saved me in that battle and made me a demon, but I was happy. The demon who had killed my sister was finally dead. Nezuko took care of me like no one else would have. She was attentive and always gave me a friendly hug. She didn't give up even with my outbursts in the first few weeks. After Kanny died, I told myself I would never become a demon. I hated them and would kill myself if that ever happened. But Nezuko showed me that not all demons were bad, that there were good ones too. Even though I don't want to become a demon again, the memories haven't faded. They're still in my mind. While I was with her, I lived like a normal girl for those months. I had no missions to complete and I could be at peace. She gave me the opportunity to live and fall in love, and I did. I fell in love with the best man. I'm looking forward to meeting my nephews, Sabito and Komi. Giyuu POV. The last thing I remember before I fainted were his words, Giyuu, they're about to be born. The logical thing would have been to appear brave and help her, but all I did was faint and appear weak at the moment when she needed me. Has the birth already happened? Komi and Sabito, Tomioka, wake up you big idiot. Sanemi yelled and slapped me, waking me up. I'm not like your girlfriend who's in another room watching your kids, by the way. They're born. Yes, she replied, unable to hide her smile. What happened to your wrist? I asked, getting up from the floor. What's Taketu doing on the floor? After you fainted like a coward, Nezuko called for help. Muikaru heard her, but he also fainted when Nezuko told him. I was the one who carried her to a room. Now let's stop talking and go see your children. I'll wake that boy up, he muttered, approaching Muikaru with his fist raised. Just follow the trail of the girls acting like crazy, he explained before punching him. I don't know how many times I started running to one of the rooms where the injured were staying. Some girls were going in and out. When Shizu saw me, she gestured for me to come closer. They're beautiful, Giyuu little angels. Well, they all are, but your children are beautiful, she smiled lovingly. Go in quickly, go meet them, she said, pushing me inside. My heart started beating fast when I heard a baby cry. Nezuko lay on a bed with two bundles in her arms. She was crying but still smiling. Aren't you going to say hello? She asks, her smile unwavering. Sabito won't stop crying. I think he wants to meet you. I started walking towards the bed, each step making me tremble and sweat. Having a child a few years ago before I met her, being a father seemed so distant, a lie. Everyone hated me. I thought I'd never find a woman by my side who would love me. But now a woman is standing before me carrying our children because it wasn't just one but two. They both have your eyes. Komi fell asleep after I breastfed her, but Sabito is still awake, she pointed out, making me smile. I knelt down and stroked my daughter's cheek. It felt so good to say that. Her skin was soft and warm at the same time. Sleeping, she resembles her mother. I looked beside me at Sabito's breast, calm, but he started crying again when he saw me. Doesn't he like me? I think she wants you to hold him, and if you ask me, it's a mother's instinct. But I've never held a baby in my life. Kyoko is a young child, but not a baby. Now you have two to train with, but please don't drop them. They're delicate. I don't want to make him suffer. You complain a lot. Come, sit next to me, she said, making room for me. I sighed and climbed onto the bed carefully, making sure not to move it. I didn't want to wake Kyome. Even though I wanted to see her face, I would let her sleep. I reached out to Sabito and picked him up. He continued crying, but once he was on my chest and after a few gentle movements, he stopped crying. My son. See, he likes you, he smiled and kissed me on the cheek. You're going to be an excellent father, Tomioka Giyuu, right, Sabito? He asked, gently stroking his cheek. Sabito just blinked. Thank you. Why? I asked while gently rocking Komi, who was still asleep. She had a white pacifier with a flower design. Let me be a father, I smiled and kissed her lips, but we separated when we saw our other daughter hiding behind the door. Come out of your hiding place, don't you want to meet your siblings? She asked. Kyoko came out of her hiding place and ran towards us. I'd like to introduce you to Kyome and Sabito. From now on, you won't be playing alone in the afternoons anymore. Yes, I whispered, and I came closer to see Sabito. He has dad's blue eyes. That seems to be the case. Where are they? Muikaru asked. I shook my head when I saw some bruises on his face. Seinmi apparently had fun. Kiyomi is asleep and Sabito is awake, replied my girlfriend, now the mother of my 2 children, 3 if I count Kyoko. Now don't raise your voice, she advised. You seem to have fun. He wouldn't wake up. I woke up at the first knock. It didn't take 5. His tone was annoyed, but he still smiled at Komi and Sabito. Did you carry a baby? Yes, it was Komi, he smiled proudly, but she didn't see me. She fell asleep after breastfeeding. They're here now, he whispered, his voice crossing their eyes. The 3 of us didn't understand until the door opened again and 2 people came out. Finally, I sent you a letter over an hour ago. Why did it take so long? Shinobu can't run and she had a craving. Sorry sis, I like to please my girlfriend. Don't worry. They're so cute, can I hold him? She asked, her eyes sparkling. I hugged Sabito a little tighter, but I still gave him to her. You're prettier than your father. You inherited your beauty from your mother. Hey, wait a moment, I want to spend a few more minutes with my nephew. Is she Komi? She asked excitedly as she rocked Sabito. Snap. Wake up. Great, she's going to cry. Muikaru grinned and we all looked at him confused by his words. Had he said, I'm good at calming children, he said before gently asking Nezuko, his niece, to join him before he began to rock her and sing to her. Nen nen korori yo a korori yo. Sleep my child, sleep well. Boyo wa yoiko de nen shina. May nenyo buono duums. Boyo no amori wa doko I itas. Where has your nanny gone? Ano yamakote sato ita, beyond the mountains to his parents' home. Sato no miyajnai nanny morata. Why de souvenir de su hager quetiha trar? Den den taiko nai show no few. A rattle drum and a bamboo flute. He sang to her, and to everyone's surprise in the room, Kiyomi calmed down, but she didn't close her eyes again. She kept looking at Muikaru, who continued telling her the lullaby. When she started singing again, she slowly closed her eyes and fell asleep in Muikaru's arms. That song, you know it too? Nezuko asked, surprised. Muikaru nodded. Mom used to sing it to us. Our mother also sang that lullaby to us, just like she did to all our siblings. Here you go, Tomioka, take good care of your daughter or I'll give you a punch you won't forget. He smiled and handed her to me. I rolled my eyes before hugging her close to my chest. My children. I looked beside me at Nezuko. Shinobu had finally returned our son to her. Just like me, she hugged him and kissed his forehead. Now the 5 of us were a family, and I was going to protect them with all my strength. I will become stronger for them. The arrival of Uncle Iguro. Nezuko Pav. I gazed in wonder at Sabito and Komi. 2 months have passed since their birth. Giyuu is very protective of strangers who want to see hold them, but he denies it. He only lets them see them from afar or up close, but not touch them. Tanjiro and Shinobu don't visit often anymore. My sister is 6 months old now, and Tanjiro wants to be with her all the time. But when they write us letters, Shinobu is very excited. Kyoko stays with them and takes care of them when we have something to do. She feeds them, plays with them, and sings them the lullaby that Muikaru taught her, although he also takes care of them several times. When Komi squeezed Muikaru's finger, he went, so to speak, crazy and let out a shout of joy. Komi was scared, but he quickly calmed her down. Seinmi sometimes comes with the excuse of having a bump or bruise, but upon seeing Komi and Sabito, he magically heals. That time he was feeding them with a bottle. He told me that Sabito reminded him of Genya when he was a baby, and Komi reminded him of one of his little sisters. Muikaru and Seinmi like being by his side, but Giyuu is jealous. When they leave, he stays behind to look after them and be alone. I remember the time I went to the village for groceries, and those 3 stayed behind to look after them. Why is it so quiet? I asked nervously as I entered, followed by Yushiro. Where is everyone? I asked, looking around. Even at night you always see people walking, but there was no one. I dropped the basket and ran to Sabito and Komi's room. What if something bad had happened? Although she had her doubts, Giyuu, Seinmi, and Muikaru wouldn't let anything happen to their children nephews. They're very overprotective, and that's definitely a plus. Giyuu, Muikaru, Seinmi. I called and opened the door. I sighed with relief when I saw them sitting on the floor. Giyuu had Sabito on his lap, Seinmi had Komi, and Muikaru he was annoyed and making the cutest pout. It was my turn. You've had her for 10 minutes already. Don't be cruel, she scolded him. Hello. Nezuko, tell this albino I want to carry Komi, he pointed out. No, I went and you didn't. Now you'll have to deal with it, he declared. Giyuu, is there a problem? I asked as I lifted and put Sabito down, making him smile. No. Are you sure? I asked, crossing my arms. No, well, yes, it was with the diaper, I murmured, continuing to play with Sabito. It's not fair, I cried. You had several younger brothers to practice with. I didn't. I couldn't stand it. I started laughing. It's not funny. Kiyomi wouldn't stay still for a second. Only Seinmi was able to put it on. Yes, and you're not, he smiled mockingly. Didn't you want me to be the one to change you? He asked Komi. In response, Komi kicked her foot and smiled. Are you going to leave me for that ugly guy with scars? Hey, Nezuko-san, Shizu called, entering the room. What's wrong? I asked, picking up Komi. She started crying when she heard Shizu's loud voice. I'm sorry, he apologized when he saw her crying on his chest. Did I speak too loudly? What's happening? The boss sent you a message. I think it's important, she replied, handing me a letter. Won't you be a pillar again? Is that what you're asking? I asked, annoyed. I had already made it clear that. No, it's a question from me. Maybe later. I'm a mom and I have to take care of Sabito and Komi. I don't have time for missions. And what about Tomioka? I asked. He's still a pillar even though he's a father and he has a family too. I know, he says the only thing he's good at is killing demons, now demigods too, I replied, opening the letter. He wants to talk to me face to face. He can't write it in a letter. Are you going? What about them? Can you take care of it? I'm sorry, but I have to look after the hunters who are coming. I haven't even made the bed or gotten the medicine yet. I think I should go to town. Send. No, they will help me just like the boys. Kyoko. He's helping Jin prepare the food. He had nothing else to do. Giyuu is on a mission in the north and Muakairo and Sanemi are also on missions. I can't leave them alone without a caretaker. They're so young, only 2 months old. I can help, said someone behind me. Iguro. I smiled and hugged him carefully so as not to hurt Kyome. Iguro lowered his head and looked at my daughter. She began to squirm and kick. What's wrong with him? That's her way of asking to be carried. Can, of course, remember you're her uncle, I said. Iguro smiled and picked her up. Once in his arms, Kyome stopped kicking and smiled at him. I found out a few hours ago that they were born. Is she Kyome? Yes, that's Sabito, I pointed out. Iguro approached the bed and looked at his other nephew. Sabito had fallen asleep. I can take care of them for you, Iguro said, looking at Komi with a gleam in his eyes. Thanks, Iguro. I owe you one. Before I go, I have to tell you a few things. I heard. Teacher POV. After the talk about when to feed her and her nap time, she left. Yubayasaki recommended taking her katana in case she encountered a semi-demon on the way. I looked at Kyome curiously. Although she had the same eye color as that idiot Giyuu, there was a difference. Giyuu's eyes were opaque and reflected nothing, but this girl's eyes had a certain sparkle that showed happiness and innocence. When she grew up, she would look like her father, but Kyome had the same look as my friend. Are you human or an angel? I asked, stroking her hair. Apparently, he liked being caressed too. I couldn't believe these babies ate every 3 hours. Uncle Iguro, Uncle Iguro. Kyoko called happily, running towards me. I smiled and opened my arms. Kyoko jumped and hugged me. I have siblings. I saw them. Nezuko left. That's why I'll take care of them. It's been a long time since you've been here. Did something bad happen to you? No, I only had missions besides being with my girlfriend. I recently learned of your birth and came to see you. You have the same eyes as Dad. Do you know that months ago he saved me from a pervert? Pervert? I asked, surprised. Kyoko nodded and began to tell me, in the end it does serve a purpose. Here you go, Uncle, he said, handing me 2 bottles. They'll be waking up soon. Oh, good. Do you want machis? Did they buy them? No, I made them. I suppose Komi and Sabito can wait. I walked through the corridors staring into space, but I stopped when I heard her crying. Even though I had heard her cry before, this cry was different. Something inside me clenched and I remembered that demon who ate babies in my family. I shook my head quickly and ran to the room. Komi and Sabito were crying, but it didn't seem like they were hungry. Something or someone had scared them, but there was nothing around besides me. Babies are delicate and easily frightened. Their crying was very loud and they were thrashing and kicking. Were they afraid? I reached out and picked them up, bringing them close to my body. Komi and Sabito were still crying, but they calmed down when I started to deserve it. After 2 years, I felt that demons gaze on my back again, but this time she wasn't looking at me but at them, patiently waiting for the moment they would leave him alone so she could eat them. I took each of their bottles and gave them to them before leaving the room. I wasn't like Mitsuri. I didn't like getting attached to babies either. They made too much noise, but for the first time I did. Being one of Nezuko's best friends also gave me the title of uncle. Muakairo and Sanemi have that title too, and it seems they've started using it. I smiled as I watched them drink their milk. Sabito closed his eyes, implying that he liked it, as did Komi.
Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.